to the PanelCast. This is episode 244 of the PanelCast. I am your host, AJ. And with me this week, we are joined by Black Kitties. Hi, Black Kitty.
Say hi. Hi.
Actually, I'm joined by Bryan and Karl here in the studio of the Movie Raccoons, the podcast called Movie Raccoons, anyway. They're not actual movie raccoons, or if they are, then that's just weird and racist. And
we definitely are movie raccoons.
Yeah.
We are connoisseurs of fine garbage cinema,
hmm
and just in the same way that raccoons are connoisseurs of the finest garbage.
We're also kind of hairy.
Yeah, just
well, not
not
you,
on Brian's head.
Bryan. Right. Bryan is the opposite of Harry this week,
Yeah, but other than that,
or
yeah,
in his life.
very much
He actually
raccoons.
looks like the PanelCast logo, which is next to his head. If you look,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
he
do.
looks
I
no
look
the other way,
exactly like that.
the other side.
yeah, the other side.
Not on my screen.
Well,
Not
on
on
my
Brian's
screen.
screen, but on everybody else's screen. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
Doing good.
Some of you guys may remember Bryan. This is a blast from the past. Bryan is one of the OG original Forbidden Panel people, original
Mhm.
member, and original member of the PanelCast. It started off with just me and Bryan wandering around conventions with a crappy ass voice recorder, micro tape recorder. I think we started off with recording interviews with people at cons and conventions and whatnot, and eventually moving on to an electric voice recorder and interviewing people on walk around cons and whatnot. Karl would join us in the background because he just wanted to look like Matt Damon everywhere he went.
Yeah,
Matt Damon's little brother was what we called him, Sancho Damon.
Sancho Damon.
Um,
Yeah, that was so many years ago. Was
Yeah.
that like what 2008? I think.
That was at
2008.
least like
Yeah.
40 pounds ago.
Actually I have up here on the wall the badge from that Comic Con, and it's
Really? Can
2000
you show it to the
2008.
camera? Give us a zoom in.
Yeah. Let's zoom in. Is that good enough right there? I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know
Look
why
at
I'm
that.
looking closer.
You're all what?
Why are we seeing Brian's eyeball? It's like Galactus.
Yeah. So good
So yeah,
times.
these guys are old school FP people. They Brian decided he didn't like California, so he moved out. And
Yeah,
we decided
basically.
we didn't like Brian, so we kicked him out. And so he decided he'd form his own little podcast group. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Brian? What have you been doing since you left Forbidden Panel? Or did you leave Forbidden Panel? Or are you kind of like on hiatus?
I don't know. I would say that I have been in
A scratching post
cryostasis.
for that cat?
Yeah. Yeah, he's really enjoying himself right now. And basically what I have been doing is just I took my ass back to school, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree in library science. I'm a librarian now, and just working on side projects, still trying to write. Um, so I had approached Karl with the idea of doing a podcast, and I wanted to do a sort of I wanted to do I would basically just do bad movies is what I wanted to do. And but I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more than that. There's so many bad movie podcasts out there. I really wanted it to be a podcast, and I knew that Karl felt the same way about this, is be a podcast that's more of a celebration of how much we love these shitty movies, and that a lot of these movies are really not truly terrible. Like they maybe have not all been made with the greatest of care, but there is still some sort of something to be found in
Yeah.
them. And I was
Well, give
describing.
us an example. Tell me some of the movies you've reviewed and whatnot on your
Oh,
show.
well, I mean, we
Last I heard
started
was
off
The
with
Room.
The Room
Yeah,
because that one is
that's where we
sort of
started.
that's kind of the quintessential bad movie that people talk about nowadays. It's this film that was an independent film made by a
A
enigmatic and
psychopath.
opaque.
This is made by a
I
psychopath.
I don't know what Tommy Wiseau's deal is, but he had a vision for a movie, and he made that movie and put it out into the world, and people have seen it, and
hmm And it's a thing that exists, and it was
it
like
certainly
the
is.
the work of several people, and this is the thing that gets me is like this isn't just like one man's insane vision. Like
Hmm.
a lot of people worked on this to
Yeah.
bring us that. They all failed collectively together, and that's one of the things that like blows my mind. Like when movies are done so right or so wrong,
Hmm.
that it is this huge collective effort. I mean, you look at if you sit and watch the credits, there's like there's hundreds of people that make this happen. From the guy that's like delivering the catering, or the digital effects guy that nobody ever sees on screen, that can make or break all of this. Like every point, every person on there is essentially like a, a point of failure or a point of success. Um, some people definitely have more impact on it. I mean, you have like the producers and like the people that are holding the purse strings, obviously. I think the most recent movie that we did was Madame Web, which shows that you can throw a shit ton of money at a movie and still have it be dog shit. And yeah, so it's not always just bad movies. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we're watching Madame Webs, and sometimes we're watching that other movie that we don't talk about. Um, if you listen to our podcast, you know which one it is. It's episode
Hmm.
number 5.
I want to know now.
Um, so it's this ongoing joke. We don't talk about the movie. We don't talk about anymore. Is this movie called "They Saved Hitler's Brain"?
Yeah.
And I specifically picked this movie because it had a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. And this wasn't like it hasn't been rated on Rotten Tomatoes. This is
Everyone
a
who has seen it,
0%. Like
yeah,
everybody who's seen it agrees that this is an awful movie. And that never happens. Like
it's the
even
film
really
version
bad
of having a
movies.
kidney stone.
Yes, it is the movie version of having a kidney stone. It is fucking terrible to sit through. Um so also I think it's our shortest episode
I think
because
so. Yeah, I think so. We could not even muster the the fortitude to talk about it. It was so aggravating, infuriating. You know, there's like you have a movie like Pink Flamingos. There is so much in
oh
that
yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's a movie that really pisses people off, and a lot of people really don't like it. And I
Yeah.
understand why, but there's so much to that movie. Like there
Yeah.
is an artistic vision that came through.
Yes.
Whereas They Saved Hitler's Brain just it was essentially
It was
uh,
essentially two different movies anyways,
yeah,
because they recorded 25 minutes that they just tacked on to the front of it to get it to a 90-minute runtime so they can get better ad sales when they sold it on Canadian television.
and it was
And
filmed like
literally a
20 or
decade
30
apart.
years later. Yeah.
Like one was
Something
filmed in the late
ridiculous.
50s and one was filmed in like the mid 60s.
Hmm.
And so it's like the movie is complete nonsense. Even it doesn't matter. Even if you took that 20 minutes that was filmed, 25 minutes that was filmed at the beginning and threw it away, the rest of the movie still doesn't make any sense.
None.
So it's just one of those things. We have so many different movies like that. Yeah, the one we
So
have
that's what you do on
upcoming
the
is
show is you go through and you analyze these movies and you pick them apart and describe what makes them a bad movie and whatnot.
yeah, we kind of like
Yeah.
go through like the plot, like from start to finish, and like
Lots of diversions in the middle.
yeah,
I'd
We
say
can't stay on track to save our lives.
no. It's all just like every little thought that derails the conversation will take on a life of its own. So we do a
Yeah.
lot of that too.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have a producer sitting there being like
Hmm.
in the booth.
Yeah.
You know, like, get back on track. We got time. We
Right,
got to keep
right.
time. We have no producer. Like we don't monetize the podcast anyway. So it's literally just stream of consciousness from us out
Hmm.
into the ether of the internet to like the tens of people that listen to it.
I
Hey,
do
you know what? You take
sort
the
of.
tens of people that listen to yours and the 3 that listen to mine, and you know we've got a serial killer on the loose right now. You know,
It's
Well, I
true.
will say that at least according to our Spotify stats, we've got people all over the world that have listened to us at least more than once. So
Yeah.
something. So if
so
you're one of the people out
one
there in like,
prisoner in Siberia
there is
is
somebody
We
who's
only
did
like
have
allowed
one
to
person in
listen to.
Moscow, I think.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah,
person in Moscow. We have people from like Thailand and Belgium and
We had one
uh,
from South Africa.
South
yeah.
Africa.
Your podcast is used as torture on POW camps.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we get a
probably.
lot of listens in Guantanamo Bay, and
Right.
That explains all the Cuban listens that we get.
Right.
And, like, I didn't realize we were so big in Cuba, but now that makes
It's like
sense.
the one place we aren't popular in is China. I don't
I
understand.
don't know.
Apparently, they want nothing to do with us. We pose no threat.
Ugh.
Well, so for this episode, we do a lot of movie podcasts, movie reviews here on the show as well.
Okay.
Something that Brian and I had started off with when we started the show, I believe. The first movie we reviewed, one of the first ones was Cloverfield, and it started a huge
Mhm.
debate amongst all of us here at the show. Only because I thought it was a great movie. I still think it's a great movie. And I've watched all of the Cloverfield films and enjoyed all of them.
Wait, there was
Um,
more than one?
Yeah, there's
Oh.
yeah, yeah. There's a
3
trilogy,
or
I think.
4.
Oh.
3 movies, yeah.
Yeah,
I only ever
there's
saw the
3 or
one.
They're
3 or
not
4.
really related. They're
Oh, okay.
like spiritual sequels.
They're in the same universe, so it's
Okay.
like all this
But
shit
still
is
like the
going
giant
down.
monsters and stuff, right?
Mm,
No,
No.
there's Cloverfield. There's 10 Cloverfield Lane
mhm.
with John Goodman, where a bunch of people are trapped in a bunker, and he's keeping them trapped while the whole world is going crazy outside.
Yeah, it's John
And then there's the
Goodman,
Cloverfield
Mary
paradox.
Elizabeth Winstead, I think.
Winstead, yeah.
And what's the other guy's name?
No idea.
I can never remember his name. But and then there's the Cloverfield paradox on Netflix,
Mhm.
and
Is
it
that a
shows
show?
how that. No, it's a movie,
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
and it shows how that the ship that they're in space keeps warping between dimensions and coming across. Basically, what the Cloverfield thing is that there's a rip in time and space across multiverses, and so all these monsters are leaking in, like Stephen King with the mist and all that stuff. Like all these
Right.
monsters are leaking into different universes, and the paradox is that the ship keeps switching between different universes and seeing different versions of the Earth and what's happening to it because of the rip. So that's where you get the Cloverfield paradox, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and the movie Cloverfield. All this crap is happening and diving into our universe, and we're dealing with this. So there's other movies that are supposed to come out, and a lot of them are getting retagged. Like there was a movie that came out recently that was supposed to be another Cloverfield movie, but they didn't like it as a Cloverfield movie, so they refashioned it as a monster movie instead. I can't remember what it was called, but Overlord. That's what it was. Do you
Okay.
remember
Okay.
Overlord? It was
Yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Nazi movie where everybody parachutes in and then they
Yeah.
find like the zombies in the German castle. That was supposed to be a Cloverfield movie as well, but they pulled it out. So yeah. So anyway, we started the show with Cloverfield and had this huge argument over it. And then we just continued on doing movie reviews, and I guess you guys have too. So with this episode, we thought it would be cool if we got both of our podcasts together and review fantastic. But we decided to watch. What was it we decided to watch? Why don't you guys take over the show now? Well, do your thing
The
and
Frighteners.
review the movie we all watched.
Yeah, so this is Peter Jackson's 1996 masterpiece, The Frighteners. I think that's the one that, The Frighteners.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah, that's what we're doing this
Yeah.
week.
Love me some
Next
Peter
week-
Jackson.
Next
Normally,
week,
I would
the
just
three of
like
us will
lead
be on
in
this show.
with some sort of generally pre-planned sketch on my part that I just kind of spring on Carl at the last minute.
Yeah, it's pre-planned
but-
on Brian's
Yeah,
part. It's not planned on my part. I usually have no idea what the fuck he's going to open
Yeah.
with.
so I was
So
like, I
pre-planned
never tell them
improv.
what I'm doing. But yeah, so this time around, our lead into the review is just bantering back and forth with you. So The Frighteners. It is a movie which I actually did not remember a whole lot of the details for. I saw this back in, I want to say, maybe 2002, 2003, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I remember watching it with you and Brennan.
Yeah. Brennan, who has also been a guest on our podcast previously.
Yeah.
And we have so yeah, I didn't remember a whole lot of this movie
No.
as I was watching it. There was a lot of stuff that I was like, oh shit, I didn't remember that. Like I did not remember that Gary Busey was in this movie, which you would think you would remember because he's such a
He's not in the movie.
striking presence.
Gary Busey isn't in the movie.
Oh,
Jake
Jake
Busey's in the
Busey.
movie.
Whatever.
Jake
But-
Busey
One
is
of
in the
them,
movie.
one of those guys.
Yeah.
Jake Busey.
Jake
Bob
Busey's in this
Busey is
movie.
in the movie.
But
Right.
Jake Busey has been like a villain in pretty much every movie from the late 90s into the early 2000s. Like every time
Yeah.
there was a psycho, it was
And-
him.
This movie has a couple of people that are returning from previous movies that we did, because we did Starship Troopers a while back, and Jake Busey's in that, and then also Juliana McCarthy, who's in this, is also in that. Pardon
Yeah,
me.
and I have to say that I realized that I was watching this movie on the same day that Michael J. Fox got his Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Oh, Michael J. Fox got a Presidential Medal of Freedom?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, for his work in like for I
With,
think for his
MF.
What happened?
For his work with multiple sclerosis.
Oh,
not multiple
Parkinson's,
sclerosis,
right?
Parkinson's, yeah.
Parkinson's. Yeah, that's
Parkinson's
it.
and
Right.
just like his general cultural contributions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got a little choked up watching
Yeah.
this.
And
Michael
we
J.
all
Fox
watched
is
the
an actor
director's.
who I
We
like
all
a
watched the
lot.
director's cut of this movie, right?
Yes, I assume
Right.
so.
Okay.
The director's extended edition.
Yeah. I hope
And-
that's what everybody watched, because that's what I watched for this. So I just wanted to make sure.
I watched whatever version they had on Amazon Prime.
Why are you sitting here shilling for Jeffrey Bezos?
Because I searched everywhere for this movie, and that was where I had to get it.
I'm disappointed
All you
in
gotta
you.
do is ask. I had it on Plex.
He did even tell us he had it on Plex.
I forget things the moment
Mhm.
people say them to me.
What was your name again? See, that's why we have these
Oh.
names and title cards so that I can remember who you are. It's not for the people. It's for me.
You look
Oh.
okay. Oh yeah, that's Carl. That's Brian. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
I'm
yeah.
the round one.
Brian's the round one.
I'm the other
I'm the
round
dumb
one, but
one.
I have more fun. Right.
Yeah.
I'm the bearded one.
So
There you
we've
go.
got
So the Frighteners extended cut. The extended cut was 14 additional minutes to the film. What did you guys think of it?
Well, I don't remember. I saw it so long ago that I don't
Yeah.
remember what the difference was between the original version and the 14 added minutes. But
Yeah.
so I couldn't tell you like a compare and contrast to them. But I did really enjoy this movie again.
That's not the
If-
level of research that we do at Movie Raccoons, so it's
Yeah, we don't often do a compare and contrast. We've talked about doing that. And we probably will do if the director's cut of Tiptoes ever gets
I
released.
don't really want to watch that movie again.
Tiptoes.
Because
I have to
apparently the
know.
studio cut out 90 minutes of a film that was already almost 2 hours long.
I do have to know what is missing that would make this movie make sense.
Yeah, because apparently the director says that the studio cut out a bunch of shit that made the movie make no sense whatsoever, and he's like he doesn't want to have anything to do with the film. He's like, the cut I gave them made sense, and the cut they released is not. It's garbage, and the movie is garbage. But I don't see a world in which you have Gary Oldman playing a little person by standing on his knees in a movie filled with a bunch of little people.
Like every little person in
Like
Hollywood
literally
was
every
in
little
this
person
movie.
you could think of.
Peter Dinklage is in the movie. He could have played that role. It just.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
just
Gary Oldman. I love him,
it's
but
it's driving me crazy because I don't want to think about that movie anymore. We're here to talk about The Frighteners, and The Frighteners is an interesting movie. And one of the reasons that this had been on the Movie Raccoons list is when I'm putting movies on the list, a lot of things I look at is like how successful was this movie in the box office?
Mhm.
Like how successful was it at the time?
Yeah.
And let's talk about why it holds up or why it's interesting now versus why did it maybe fail at that time. And
Roger
this was a
Ebert.
movie that did not do well in the box office. It
Roger
was
Ebert fucking hated it.
yeah,
Yeah.
this
Hated
movie
it.
had a budget
A lot of
of
people
20.
hated this film.
I know, and I don't understand why, because it it has that Peter Jackson quality to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird, but the story is interesting. It's like an interesting take on like a con man like kind of movie, or
Yeah.
like a haunting kind of movie. To
Mhm.
kind of take those two and smash them together, where you have Michael J. Fox, who's funny, and he's pretty good at playing like a comedic actor. But like Michael J. Fox isn't the guy you think of for like horror films. But this movie does have some like frightening moments to it. Like it's kind of dark and disturbing.
It really does. Yeah.
But it's also really fucking funny in parts.
Mm-hmm. I
And
mean, especially due to the contributions of Jeffrey Combs, who,
oh
if
yeah,
Jeffrey Combs is in a movie,
Steals
like,
the movie.
oh
huh?
yeah,
He steals the movie.
yeah.
He's
I'm
And he's
he's
sorry.
barely
great.
in this
Especially in
movie.
the extended version when he sits there and talks about all the shit that he's been through.
Yeah.
In the original version, he just pops open his chest and he's like,
Yeah,
and you
Yeah.
see all the scars. And he's like, everything I've been through. But in this version, he
he
goes into
talks
a
about
big monologue
into
about all the
detail.
different
Yeah.
ways and details
Yeah,
and stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
love Jeffrey Combs. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
he's coming
he's
off
he's
of
great. He is great.
Reanimator.
Oh,
Yeah,
Reanimator, we're
Reanimator.
definitely
Well,
gonna do at
and
some point.
Peter Jackson wanted him in this movie specifically because of his work on Reanimator.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
And like I
and
Jeffrey
said,
Combs is
he
great.
takes the movie away. Like,
yeah,
yeah, all the other ghosts and everything are great, especially in the extended version, the way that
Mm-hmm.
their comedic sidekickness comes in and kicks in all the time. It's great to see
I
more
do
of them.
wish that they had been in it a little bit more.
yeah.
Like some of the
Yeah.
ghosts, I think were underutilized.
Mhm.
Like I love John Aston, and
The sheriff, yeah.
like
The
yeah,
judge.
as the judge.
The
Like
judge, yeah.
He's a
I mean,
hanging judge.
The hanging judge, yeah.
he's such a filthy, disgusting person. Like it just, but
Yeah.
yeah, like they were all great. I was shocked. I did not remember that Chi McBride was in this movie, and I was like, oh
Right?
shit. And the only person I really couldn't place was the guy who was like the young, like 1950s.
Cyrus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always forget his name too. The actor. I'm looking on a website right now that compares and contrasts the original cut with the director's cut to show what's been added and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
um, And yeah, there's a lot more scenes with the judge, like him driving around with the judge and stuff and talking with them. Cyrus and Frank, not Frank, John McBride dressing up as the Grim Reaper and trying to scare him as a foreshadowing, the Jake Busey as the Grim Reaper later,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
stuff like that. It's I don't know, like, and Peter Jackson's cameo because he has to
The
show up
death
in every single
dealer.
role.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter
Yeah,
Jackson has a small cameo. His son also gets a cameo in the movie,
right.
or his child. I'm not sure if it was his son or his daughter, but like one of the kids in the scene where they're like,
Well, when the
uh,
baby's floating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, with the baby's floating. The baby that's in the bouncer, that's Peter Jackson's child.
right.
So,
Um,
because you put it's literally a nepo baby right there,
Yeah.
literal nepo
You got to
baby.
start them off early. And yeah, another thing I love too is I think Michael J. Fox does a great turn as a kind of a scummy guy. Like I mean,
Oh yeah,
he's genuinely a nice person, but he's a con man. Like, even though there really are ghosts, like, he's using the ghosts to con people. Like,
yeah.
they're not
right.
actually being haunted. It's just
No,
that, like, you know,
well, I mean, they are actually being haunted.
oh yes, they are being haunted, but he is the cause of that haunting. Like, that
Yes, he is
it's
both
Yeah.
the
the
cause
cause
and the
of and
cure.
the solution.
You're right,
Yes.
right, right. So, like, but I think that, like, he is playing such a different character than, Marty McFly. And
Yeah, because he's usually playing like kind of like an everyman kind of character, right?
sometimes he's also played
Well,
like more kind of like smarmy
he's
characters.
always the kid next door that's going to be the successful guy.
Yeah.
The secret to my success is exactly who he is.
I don't know. He was also like the Reagan obsessed, like, teenager in whatever that show he was on, Family
Right.
Ties.
Silver spoons or whatever
One
the
of
frat
those.
was.
I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
Family Ties. Um, where, yeah, like, his character thing is that, like, his parents are hippies and he's like this, like, money obsessed yuppie teenager.
The only time
Um,
I saw the best movie I saw him in, as far as like portraying that Alex P. Keaton role, was when he was in Dave. Was it Dave or Mr. President? The American President. That's what it was.
okay,
American.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
When he was the assistant to Martin Sheen.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that movie.
And he was coming in all the time. He was the Republican. He was fighting for the president, and he sat there. He's like, "No, I want the president that I fought for, that I campaigned for, that did this and did this and this. And I am the American people because I'm a constituent. I'm the one that voted for you. So the president is going to take 5 seconds out of his day and listen to what I have to say."
Yeah.
That speech right there was one of the best Alex P. Keaton speeches could have been on that movie that Michael J. Fox portrayed. So it was very nice way to link it back to his previous role.
Yeah.
But in this film, he's coming off as somebody completely different. He's a father or a husband that lost his wife, and he's completely haunted by all these ghosts and the guilt
hmm
trip that he has to
Yeah.
carry
He's
from
literally
his
haunted
unfinished
by that
house and all this other
scenario.
stuff.
yeah,
And so he comes on as being like the anti-Ghostbuster. He's like the
Mhm.
reverse of Ghostbusters, and he's just trying to con people and get money and survive. And
Yeah.
I love
I
his
love
little
it.
ghost catching machine, which just looks like an old radio with like
Like a toaster in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
a toaster or some sort of, like, little, like, it pops out little baggies. It's like a little poop bags.
That
I thought
you
they
Also,
can
were like
put down the
little
garbage
coffee
disposal
ground
safely.
bags, you know.
yeah, he kept talking about ectoplasm in this movie. I don't remember actually seeing any, unless, like, it's just like the ghosts who are composed of ectoplasm themselves, maybe. It
I don't
seemed
know.
like they had at least some sort of physical substance to them, because, like,
They can
they could get run
manipulate.
over and they
Yeah.
could be manipulated by objects in the environment. Like, the one dude kept getting, like, chopped up and blasted, and all kinds of things were happening
Well,
to him.
it's weird that they can like get hit by cars, but then they can still walk through walls. Like I don't the logic of ghosts in this movie didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, not
Like
really.
the rules weren't super clear, but
I think the rules were that the ghosts behave in a manner that they believe that they can behave. So a lot of the ghosts didn't understand what they could do and couldn't do. So they were
right,
bound by their
like the
own
early Army
subconscious
ghost having
reality.
fucking machine guns.
Yeah.
Right. So
He still got
he
chopped
was
in
in
half,
that
though.
uniform because he dreamed he was in that uniform. He
Right,
dreamed he had those guns and he imagined that those bullets were real, you know.
right, and
And
because you have
everybody
to
else
have
saw
R.
those
Lee
bullets
Ermey
and
play that character in your movie,
perfect.
Mhm.
because he plays that fucking character in every movie,
Yeah.
Because that's who he is. Yeah.
except for what the fuck movie was it?
I don't know. This dead air is great for.
It went, yeah, and it just straight out of my brain. So let's just move on.
There's
Did you
been a
ever
few movies where
remember
he's just
who
like
was the
the
star of the Karate Kid?
No, I never did.
Ralph Macchio.
There it is. I knew it.
It's a
I can
callback
picture
to one
his
of our
face.
previous episodes. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
yeah.
like
So,
weeks later, I still have no idea until Brian just informed me, but it was Ralph Macchio this whole time.
all right. So, yeah. So we start off with, there's a funeral going on, and people are weeping, I guess, doing their funeral stuff, and suddenly, like, there's some guy going around handing out cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget who. Maybe it's like the sheriff or somebody. Somebody like realizes what's going on and kicks him out.
I think it's just at that point. I think it was just one of the funeral goers.
Maybe somebody at the
Just,
funeral is like,
yeah,
"What the
just
fuck
like
is
get the
this
fuck
guy
out of here.
doing?
You
Get the
like,
out of here!" Yeah,
yeah, get out of here.
kicks him out, and then we get our first glimpse of Michael J. Fox as whatever the character's name is. I don't remember. Marty
Frank.
McFly,
Marty.
I think.
No, not Marty.
Yeah,
John.
Frank.
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 I was gonna say
It's Frank.
Johnny, but I don't think it's Johnny.
No, it was Frank.
Johnny is
And
a
Frank something.
Busey's character. Jake Busey's character. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
Johnny Bartlett, I think is his name.
Oh, Johnny.
yeah.
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 And so he hops back into his car and takes off, and then I guess he's got some ghosts with him that are what the fuck is he doing? Is that what happened? I don't remember now.
Well, first he's the ghosts aren't in the car with him. He's just driving through the cemetery, and then he's driving like a maniac down the hill in this like
That's
beat up
right.
ass
Yeah,
Volvo.
yeah. He's just like driving like
And he
crazy.
drives like an absolute maniac in this Volvo everywhere he goes in this film. You're like, yeah, no wonder his wife died.
Yeah,
Even if he wasn't drinking, like the way that he fucking drives, like it's amazing that he's still alive.
Well, that's done on purpose. You realize why he does that later on when you find out he's just suicidal and wants to join his wife. You know,
right. Like he has a little
because
bit
he's
of a death
lonely, so he
wish,
drives that
but
way in hopes of getting into an accident and dies. Yeah.
right. But he's tearing down the road like a psychopath and plows into somebody's fence,
Hmm.
destroying and then just like the most annoying like punchable face comes running out of the house to yell at him,
Yeah, is
which
that the Peter Dobson? Is that actor's name?
Yeah. Ray Linsky.
Yeah, Ray is the guy. Yeah,
and so like he comes out and starts chewing him out and yelling about the law and saying he's gonna sue him and all
yeah.
this other shit. And
And this is Lucy's husband, right?
we find that out eventually. Yes, at this point we don't know who he is. He's just like some you know some high-strung guy who is extremely like
Obsessed with his picket
obsessed
fence
his picket fence, his
and his garden
lawn, and his
gnomes.
garden gnomes. And so Frank leaves the scene and takes off from there. Um, I'm trying to remember. We get like intros to a bunch of different characters because I think at some point we also get introduced to Dr. Linsky. There was also a couple of uh,
Yes,
reporters who are investigating a series of deaths because um, there's been some deaths, like the funeral at the beginning of the movie is one of these mysterious
right.
deaths
Because
that
this
has
is how the
occurred.
movie actually opens. Is like it opens with the reporter, and the lady that runs, like the editor or the head of the newspaper, is talking to the reporter. She's reading his his piece on
Hmm.
the murders in the town, or the mysterious deaths in the town.
Yeah,
And she's like, I don't like this, I don't want to see this, like, go to the funeral and start asking questions.
yeah.
And because that's what leads them to write like the kind of like hit piece on
That's right, because they notice
Frank.
that he's walking around, like they're watching the funeral, and like
Yeah,
yeah, that's when they notice that he's giving out the cards, and I think one of them even takes one of his cards, or they are handed one of his cards.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And so then what we just talked about happens. So after he smashes the fence, he drives back to his house, which is like this dilapidated house on a hill.
I don't know if dilapidated is the right word. It's just
Or
like
it's like
not
not even
finished.
completed.
Yeah,
Yeah, this incomplete
I thought
house
it
on
was
a hill.
I thought it was a nice house. It just wasn't
I,
finished.
it
I
would
mean,
be a nice
it
house if it
it would have
had
been a
anything.
nice house.
There were
I
missing walls.
I'm gonna still say it was dilapidated because he was building that house in 1990,
Okay, yeah,
and
that's true.
this movie takes place in 1996. So that
Yeah,
house has been
that's
sitting for 6 years, exposed to the elements.
it had a nice
In
garden
New
though.
Zealand, I assume, is where it was filmed because it's Peter Jackson, and it
Right.
kind of looks like New Zealand, but I don't know.
But I think the cars had California plates on them.
They did have California plates on them.
So it was,
Did
And
they?
I
I don't
think
Because it
know.
it's
was
supposed to take place in California, but I have no idea. It's kind of like
no, it's
every
supposed to
town
take
USA.
place
Yeah.
in it's supposed to take place in like Seattle
Is it
because the
Seattle?
overlooking water and stuff is supposed to give you that Goonies town
Oh,
feeling.
the town is Fairwater, and all the plates are California plates. So I wasn't getting a Seattle vibe
Yeah.
because you see his Volvo with the California plates like pretty early on, and those blue and yellow plates are hard to mistake.
Well,
But
it's
anyways, we digress. The So when he gets home, like, he pulls two ghosts out of his trunk who've been like sitting in the trunk of his car this whole time for whatever reason.
and complaining about being in the trunk.
Right.
But it seems like they are capable of at least moving through objects. Some of them better than others, because Chima Bride's character just walks straight through the door like it's no problem. The other guy gets stuck in the door while they're entering and having this argument. So it seems as though the
Hmm.
ghosts have at least maybe some sort of psychological uh like there's some sort of psychological rules where, like, if they're either thinking too much or not enough about their form, like
They can get
they can
stuck
they can get stuck, or yeah, like
or
it
fall
seems as
through.
though fall through floors or just not be able to, like, they have trouble interacting with things or knock things over by accident. So yeah, they're kind of all over the place in terms of their control.
Yeah.
It honestly seems as if it's kind of a hellish existence, to be honest, to just sort of be stuck on Earth and like partially incorporeal.
Yeah. But I know they can like choose at some point to go to the light.
Hmm.
So and that also, like, I'm not sure, like, because some people when they die just immediately go,
Right.
and then the rest of them are like, no, I'm gonna stick around. And then some of them can go and come back, because that's what happens with Johnny Bartlett is he apparently went to hell, but then he came back.
Well, he said that he escaped. Like in that scene, he mentioned specifically that he managed to escape. He
Yeah.
doesn't ever explain how.
No.
He just said that he did. So it seems like whatever the mechanisms are for sending people to heaven and hell are pretty lax, honestly. Like they need to get some TSA agents up in there to keep track of that, because
Yeah,
they had to
because
go
Johnny
through hell.
almost went to heaven at the beginning. Or,
Yeah,
I mean, at the very end.
yeah.
Like they
He
were
did
on.
go. Like he was there at the gates, and then they just
Yeah.
said like, no, you got to go back because it's
Yeah.
not your time or whatever. But
No, Johnny. And
which one is Johnny?
Johnny Bartlett.
Oh, Johnny Bartlett.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he almost went.
Well,
He's just he was
he was riding the light beam to the fucking pearly gates.
yeah, but he was not trying to go to heaven. Like
No,
he
he wasn't trying to. I'm just saying he was just trying to save. I don't know
All
if
right,
save is the right
let's
word.
break down the metaphysics of how this teleportation to beam to heaven works, because it
Okay,
seems as though like
this is a sticking point for me.
yeah.
And I need to understand how it works in real
Okay.
life.
So I mean, the fact that it doesn't seem to differentiate, like if there doesn't do any sort of pre-sorting to get people to heaven, seems to me that it's kind of like an independent function. It has to be like just like a
Yeah,
property of the universe that your spirit kind of gets pulled up and then
yeah.
you get
Or
decided up. Like it seems to
yeah,
be a
maybe
very
like
sort of
once
like Christian.
you cross the barrier or something, that's where the deciding happens.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was kind of like it seemed like it was like unifunctional. Like everybody takes the white light.
Because the
Like
portal
everybody
to
follows
hell
the
was
white
a
light.
giant worm.
Right, but
So
but that didn't happen until they were already like
yeah.
going up.
You get sucked up, and as you're getting sucked up, it's decided
Then you
what
get
tunnel you're
sucked
going
down.
up. No, the
Yeah,
tunnels
it's a very
change.
confusing process. It's not efficient at all.
Yeah, I think we could
Right.
design a better afterlife. Is what Brian and I are
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, yeah.
say here.
No, so if people want to subscribe to our Patreon, we will use the money to design a better afterlife. We do have to start one first, but
Yeah, we do need to start the Patreon,
yeah,
but if people do subscribe to it, if we do get enough interest in us doing this, we will do that as a membership tier.
yeah.
Your own custom afterlife.
Your own custom afterlife transportation. It basically will become the
Transportation, yeah.
Department of
We're not doing
Transportation for
we're not
heaven.
doing the afterlife
No,
shit.
no,
We're
no, no,
just
no,
doing
no. Yeah.
just the
Just
middleman.
yeah.
None of the other stuff. So basically, throughout this movie, the gist is Johnny Bartlett gets out of hell. He starts going on a killing spree again.
Mhm.
Um, what
Frank
the fuck is
finds
his name? Frank can see like the numbers that appear on people's foreheads that Johnny has marked for his next victim. And so
He starts seeing
he just
carved numbers on the next victim's heads,
yeah.
yeah.
and he
And then
tries
he
to
just
warn
happens
them
to
ahead of
be there
time.
when that person's going to die.
Right.
And so then everybody starts suspecting, not everybody, but
Most people. I mean,
most
the
people do.
chief of
Yeah.
police does,
Chief of police, the
the head
reporter lady
reporter does,
does.
yeah. And I think even to a degree, Linsky, like Dr. Linsky, does for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like she was the only person defending him, which is weird, to be honest. Like her husband just died.
Yeah, that is true. That's
Like
true, because even when like he comes by, he decides, probably didn't realize that it was also her house as well, and like sends his ghost there to like do the fake exorcism so he can come and get come by and
yeah,
No,
chase
no,
she
them
no,
even
out.
no, no,
defends him
no.
there.
No, 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 no. You guys are getting it all wrong. You got to remember that she was the doctor for Johnny's girlfriend. And she was at the first funeral and saw what he was doing. and then he knew she was the guy's wife. So when he shows up he does a little shitty exorcism at first, and pretends like he's eradicating a ghost out of their house, so he can raise money and fix the troll and fence that he knocked over.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's what I was
Then the
referring
guy
to.
dies. Then her husband dies, and he
Yes.
helps her husband out of his grave,
Right.
Yes.
and she sees that. And
Does
so
she
he
see
invites
that?
her out to
She
dinner.
didn't see
police
that. The
officer
cop
sees
saw that. Yeah.
Because the cop is like, you were the last person to see him alive.
Right.
And he's like, okay,
But she
before we
did see
start
it
making,
because she
he's
asks
like, let me
him
pay my
if he
last
can see.
respects.
He
She asked
does
him if
tell
he
her
can see
at the
him.
funeral. He does tell her at the funeral that he can see
Yeah,
her husband.
Right.
because she does see
And then
him
he invites
after he
her to
pulls.
dinner.
Right.
Yeah,
And
No,
then he
but what
invites
I'm
her to
referring
dinner where
to,
he
I'm
says we're
referring
sitting
to
next to her, blah, blah, blah.
at the very beginning when he first does his little heist. Like he is doing it because he at that point is trying to do it to get out of getting in trouble for the fence, not because he knows who Linsky is.
right.
Right.
Because he hasn't met the doctor at that point.
Right.
Right.
No, that's when
Like
he meets her.
Linsky's been
so-
introduced to us because we've
Yes.
seen her go up to the house,
Yes.
but we and
See, I think she just fell out of her husband anyway because it shows how much disdain she has for her husband throughout the movie, and the fact that when
Yeah.
he dies, she's already feeling sympathy toward the Frank character because of
Mhm.
his
Yeah,
loss of his wife and what he does.
but Frank
think it's just
fucking
easier for her
Kennedy'd
to
his
believe in him.
wife, and
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah,
I'm
he
wrong.
did
He
give her a
totally fucking
good old
Kennedy'd his wife.
a Chappaquiddick, I believe, is the proper term.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Chappaquiddick,
because-
his wife. Yeah,
Yeah, but
so
that's a what? That's a Teddy Kennedy move, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
and he didn't go to jail
I gotta
for
be
it.
careful saying that around here.
Well,
Right. We
no,
don't
I'm
talk
not.
politics on the show, guys. So watch out for the politics, please.
Oh no,
This is
isn't
just
politics.
a factual thing that
Like,
happened. It
every-
just
I
happened
understand.
to involve the
I'm just
politics.
saying. I'm just saying.
We can't talk about some dead Kennedys.
If you're talking punk rock, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so you're right. She pretty much has always
Yeah.
been sympathetic to him. Like she wasn't. I think maybe she was at points uncertain if he was legit, but I think she was definitely always very sympathetic to him. But
And
pretty
then
much
after the
everyone
dinner-
else.
After the dinner with him and
Mhm.
her husband, she starts to believe. And then that's when the emotion starts falling and she starts to fall for him and sees like, this is what a husband is supposed to be like? Well, shit.
Yeah.
Thank God
I think
mine's
the
dead.
moment for her is when she goes to his house after she starts looking into his background and then sees the garden, in this, he hasn't finished the house, but he has finished the garden.
Right.
And
Right. And he put the garden on top of the spot where he had built
The basketball court.
the
Right.
basketball court, which precipitated the whole thing anyways.
Right.
Right.
Well, precipitated
But
the
it
argument that
also
led to the drinking, that led to the
Driving drunk with the
inebriated
wife in the
drive, yeah.
car and the rage driving and
Chappaquiddick, yeah. And,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And look, the doctor had also gone to the house a couple times to check on the girl, but the mother, Dee Bradley, was like, "No, get the fuck out." Was it
Right.
Dee Bradley the mother or Dee Bradley was the daughter?
You mean Dee Wallace?
Dee Wallace. Sorry.
Yeah, Dee Wallace
Yeah.
was the daughter who was in a relationship with Johnny
Right.
Bartlett.
Yeah.
So the doctor went over there as a new doctor to check up on her, and the mother was
Mhm.
like, "No, you need to go." But the daughter was like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm just a poor
the
innocent
mother
little girl
is,
being haunted by this murderer."
Yeah.
Mhm.
The mother's Juliana McCarthy.
And that's when she decides to go over and talk to Frank and say, "Well, I kind of believe you. This stuff is happening. Can you go check it
Mhm.
out?"
Yeah.
But
Well, and then
all
at
the
some
drama
point she
goes on.
finds the knife in the mother's closet.
Yeah.
I think on the second or third visit that
The
she's
box
there.
cutter.
Because
Yeah.
she goes to visit again, and then hears the mother starts stirring or something, and then that's when the daughter is like, "Oh, you got to hide so that my mother doesn't know that you're here," because we already get the sense that something kind of disturbing has been going on with this family, because the mother is very
Because Dee
protective of
Wallace
the
is in it?
daughter.
Yeah.
Or Dee Bradley is in it?
Dee Wallace, the mother from E.T.
Yes.
Right. Well, I'm saying you already sense that something is wrong because Dee Wallace is in the family. That's why you know.
Wait, why does that? She wasn't bad in E.T.
Because there's something freaky going on.
Well, that's true. There was an alien, and then when she was in Cujo, she got trapped in a car with her son who died. So yeah, that's true. She does invite ruin upon her families.
Like I wouldn't want her to
movie
be my
families.
television mom.
No.
Right.
That would be okay. You have a good point. So
like you
Or I
get
guess
called
in this
up,
case,
you get
daughter,
called
but
in for
still.
you get called in for an audition, and you find out that she's your TV mom, and you're like, I can still donate plasma. I'm okay. I don't need money that bad.
I don't think anybody wants my plasma.
So
yeah.
you know, something fucky is going on with this family, and we kind of
seriously.
get a little bit of details revealed on one of the television programs that's like a
Unsolved
documentary.
mysteries.
Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries kind of show talking about what happened. And it seems as though basically, you know, we get the impression at first that she basically was sort of forced into this situation, and Bartlett went on this murderous rampage and kind of forced this 15-year-old girl to help him. And you know, a very kind of
His
Symbionese
girlfriend, by the
liberation
way.
army kind
She
of
would,
a
yeah. And she was his girlfriend at 15. And he
yeah.
was presumably an adult.
You have to assume, like, you know.
And I know it was 1964, but I'm still sure that 15 years old was too young in 1964.
I mean, it always has been, but
No,
unfortunately, in
if
the
this was
60s,
like the
people
Middle
got away with
Ages,
it.
like 15
Yeah.
15 years old was not too young. But like in modern times, yeah, that's for sure.
Well, once we got past the Western age, then yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and especially once we got past the, needing to have like 20 kids because, 1 in 5 of them are going to survive past 5 years of age.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're getting political again.
Are we getting political?
oh,
I don't think it's
political
political to be like 15's too young. I don't think that's a political statement at all.
Right.
No,
I think
I'm
that's
saying
just,
being political, saying, oh, people had to have more kids, and
People did have to have more kids.
yeah, but look, that's politics, man. You can't talk about it.
that's people ticks.
People ticks.
We're going on afterwards.
Yeah.
You see in kind of a flashback, Johnny on his killing spree in this hospital that they were in, running around killing people and marking them and comparing his kill count to serial killers of the past, like Jeffrey Dahmer and Lizzie Borden, what have you.
Yeah. I think he also
And he's
mentioned
trying
like
to
Manson's or who
right.
else did he
Ted
mention?
Bundy, I think.
Ted Bundy, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what he's trying to do in the afterlife, now that he has these powers as a ghost, is continue his killing spree until he's better than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
he's got a long way to go.
In order to do that, he's reaching into their chest as a ghost and squeezing their hearts until it stops beating.
Yes.
And that's where
That's
all
what's
the
starting the
connections
epidemic of people having heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's
Seemingly
what gets
healthy
Frank
people.
going on there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what gets Frank and all the police and everybody following each other. And that's when we get introduced to my favorite character, which is the Jeffrey Combs character.
The Jeffrey Combs.
The FBI
who is
agent.
investigating all of these cult-like deaths and appearances and investigates into Frank's history and past.
Special
and
Agent
stuff.
Milton Dahmers.
Yeah. Dahmers is
it Dahmers or Dahmers?
Dahmers.
Okay, yeah, Dahmers.
And he, like, from the moment he first gets introduced, he's kind of like off in the background while Linsky is being interviewed by the local police.
This weird, like, slick down, like, mid-fade comb-over kind of, like, the weirdest fucking, like, Hitlerish haircut that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Most realistic depiction of Fed in a movie.
Yeah.
And so he's
He
like,
was George from Back to the Future. You know, like, woo, time to change that oil, Dad. Like his hair is all slicked back.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
mhm. You know, he's coming in hot, like he has an agenda. He's starts bossing people around. You can see him like kind of like pushing people around in the background, and is coming in to investigate, and until he sees Dr. Linsky, and then he
Starts getting really
completely changes tone, becomes like a completely different person, just like becomes like spastic and
yeah. And then she raises
twitchy,
her voice at him, and he like has to run off and vomit.
takes
Just
off
like
and
Brian,
puke.
whenever he sees a girl or a churro.
I like churros.
I know. And when you
Or
see
did
a
you say
churro, you go running
churro?
after it.
Because those things do make me puke.
Choro?
Churro.
Churro?
Churro?
Yeah, well, that's the other end of puke.
Now we're getting political again. Because talking about Brian
Yeah.
and his deep
Stop
throating his
being
churro.
political.
So
Cool?
Anyways, so yeah, his character comes in. He's just like this weird, neurotic, like wearing gloves. He like has things
He
about
seems
people
like the
touching
serial
him.
killer when
He
he
does
first
seem
comes
like a
in.
serial killer, but because he's been like, embedded with cults.
victimized.
Not
to,
just one
victimized.
cult, but series of cults.
No, that's what I said. Not embedded with cults, plural. Cultists. S.
Cultists
You got to
is.
enunciate those S's more.
Oh, sorry. I will do
They're
better.
brothers, by the way. So
Who's brothers?
that's why
What?
they act like that. The two white boys on the screen are Brohims.
Yep.
That's why they're abusive toward each other, just so you know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you listen to the podcast, this is basically what
All
we
we do
the
is
entire time.
Yeah. Talk over each other, interrupt each other,
Yeah,
disagree about various points of whatever. This is all you're getting. It's just with more face.
yeah, more face and actually more structure because AJ is actually like
Producing the show, yes,
keeping
thank
us
you.
on keeping us on track. Yeah. I know.
No, I
Just
do
think
have
about
to
how
say,
bad it is.
right, when I have to pull you guys back in. Right. But I just want to interrupt this and ask Karl an opinion real quick. I brought this up to Brian before the show, but doesn't Brian look like he's a receptionist right now with his background and everything?
he does kind of.
I'm telling you,
You had mentioned you said this before we started recording. You said he looks like the receptionist at Nip Tuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
that, and I'm sticking with that.
I don't know what that means. But
If you ever watched the show, like it would
I
make
won't.
sense. But don't watch the show because it's not really worth watching. But at this
Right,
point, if
right.
you caught it when it was on, sure. But like, there's no
No.
point now.
I don't watch TV.
I don't really
Educated
either.
for that.
But yeah, he kind of does. He looks
Yeah.
more like a
Or
thumb to
a
me.
receptionist in somewhere, like
Yeah.
you just called in to the
I do
wrong
have a
motherfucker.
very
at
sort of
this
like
point.
thumb-like profile, like
Yeah,
basically the
it's like
same.
that could be Brian. Yeah, that's
All right, Thumbelina. And
So-
back to the podcast. So here we are talking about
Wait, are we supposed to talk like
episode.
we're wigged out on Quaaludes?
Yes.
Why? Oh god, I
I
don't know
am
if I could
wigged
do that
out
right
on
now.
Quaaludes.
I do apologize. I've been dealing with like a
Upper respiratory.
a lower respiratory.
Oof.
That mustache.
So what's that? No, the
You've
mustache
been dealing
helps.
with that mustache.
Hey, don't knock the mustache. I love this
Okay,
mustache.
Hulk Hogan. I won't.
Just wait. I'm gonna grow it to like Hulk Hogan status too.
You're
Like
you're
I'm just
trying
gonna
to
let
be
it
like
keep going until it gets like all the way down here.
you're trying to be like the Orange County Chopper Paul Senior, whatever his name is.
God.
You talk about me creating diversions.
Yeah, and talking
You
about
are a
Holocaust.
diversion, dumb boy. Walking
I know,
avatar of
you should be
PanelCast.
paying
Look at
attention
you.
to me. I don't like people that are talking around me and not to me. So, can we get back on
Is that why
track?
you have headphones on?
Yes. Actually, wait, no. I don't like people talking to me at all. Just pretend I'm not here.
I mean, that's what I've been basically doing almost this whole time.
Okay, so no more Bryan.
Okay, so now that he's gone,
Oh, now I'm on the bottom. I don't like this. We're
Sorry,
getting
Bryan.
some meta commentary here from. All right, that's better.
There, you happy now?
there, all is
Where
right in the
were
world
we?
now.
What fucking movie are we talking about?
We were talking about the Frighteners. At least,
Oh shit!
ostensibly, that's what this whole
I've been
conversation
sitting
has
here
been about.
watching porn this whole time. All right.
Getting frightened. That's what.
Yeah. So I don't even remember where we left off. Oh, with
We've
Bartlett is
answered
killing
you.
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
Bartlett is
yeah.
killing people. Frank is in jail. Frank? Yeah, Frank is in jail.
Mm.
We haven't done the museum part yet, which is probably one of the better parts of the film.
Yeah. So she comes and busts him out of jail, right?
Mhm. They go on the lam.
They go on the lamp.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you have to understand
First.
throughout the movie. Well, hold on. Throughout the whole movie, Bartlett is as a ghost, as a
He's
as a
as the
wraith,
death dealer, which is what they call
is
him.
is running around killing people left and right, and is still
Yes.
serial killer.
Mhm.
And he happens
craze
to be
that he's
doing it
doing.
everywhere that Frank Bannister is.
Yeah, it just happens
Yeah.
to be everywhere that Frank Bannister is, but it's not really technically his fault. It's just that Frank can see ghosts and is
No.
dealing with it.
Well,
And-
is
the
it
time.
more that
And
Frank
Johnny
turns
isn't.
up where he's going to be because he can see ghosts?
Yeah, well, Frank starts seeing the numbers everywhere, and he starts
Right.
chasing the numbers down and chasing people.
Yeah.
He
Right.
sees one lady who's the
And he could
director of a
see the death
museum.
dealer.
She's not the
She's
museum director. That lady is the newspaper lady.
Yeah.
She's the news lady.
Right, and she
And
tries
he's
to
like, "You're
escape
next."
Frank.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to escape Frank because she thinks Frank is pointing her out as his next victim.
Mm-hmm.
When
And
really he's trying to save
she
her.
literally went to her grave thinking it was him because
Right.
he like tries to save her. They get in his car. He's trying to outrun the demon.
Yeah.
He crashes his fucking car again.
Yep.
And
In damn near
then
the same spot.
he crashes his car in that spot 3 times in this fucking movie.
He does. Like they honestly need to put a sign up or something in that corner because people just keep flying off.
Well,
Frank's corner, beware.
yeah, well, Frank just
Frank,
needs to be
slow
careful
down.
about that. Yeah, Frank,
Right.
slow down.
Slow the Frank down, damn it.
Yeah. And I mean, it would probably help if he wasn't driving like a beat up ass like 1950s Volvo, which is a cool car, but
Just get new tires at this point.
Not one that you want to drive that fast in.
no, I can't imagine. I mean, the suspension seems very loose in that car.
And here's why I think it's in Seattle, because it's constantly raining out there and cloudy. So, like,
Yeah,
maybe he's like sliding all over the place on wet streets.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was filmed in New Zealand. I don't think that was filmed anywhere out here.
You in New Zealand, I swear.
It's just because it's Peter Jackson and he
That's
likes
racist,
filming in New
okay?
Zealand.
People in New Zealand.
What?
Oh,
Did he
all
film
right.
Meet
You
the
guys are getting
People
political again. Okay.
in
Are we
New
getting?
Zealand?
Are we? Wait, talking about New Zealand is
Yes. Other countries is
Tax
politics.
breaks. We're talking about tax breaks here.
talking about tax breaks. I mean, the Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth is New Zealand. Okay.
Right, and that came after the Frighteners. The Frighteners was released in '96
Yes.
or 90.
And the Frighteners came
91.
after Meet the Feebles.
Mm-hmm.
And
Another
So was
movie
the
that we have
Feebles
done.
filmed in New Zealand? Is what I'm asking.
Was it before or after Dead Alive? Where does Dead Alive fit in that? Dead Alive was the
So
first
he
one, right?
did. I think it
Dead Alive
was
was the
called
first one.
Bad Taste, then
Okay.
Meet the Feebles, then Dead Alive or Brain Dead, depending on which
Yeah.
version, and then Heavenly Creatures, and then this.
Okay.
And then I want to
also-
say,
we
didn't
all
he
have
did
smart
what
movies.
after this? King Kong? I think he may have had something else.
Did he? I thought he did King Kong after he did Lord of the Rings.
Oh, maybe he did.
He did, because that was why he got King Kong, because he did so good on Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
So he did King Kong, and then after King Kong, he did The Hobbit.
Yes,
Right.
because he had to.
Yeah,
I do remember when
and
the Lord
Lovely
of the Rings
Bones,
was
and
announced. I thought the guy that did the Frighteners.
Yeah,
It was
that
like
was my
it
thought.
was a fun movie, but I remember like the special effects being kind of shitty.
Yeah,
you guys
I mean,
also forget about The Lovely Bones.
yeah, that was a good. I like the Lovely Bones.
It's
Don't remember that one.
a fucked up movie, man. If there's ever a movie in time that makes you hate Stanley Tucci,
Which
it's
movie is The Lovely Bones?
it's The Lovely Bones. The Lovely
Oh,
Bones
The
is
Lovely
where a
Bones.
girl gets kidnapped and raped, and you see her living in a fantasy world where she's trying to accept her death. And her family, in the meantime, is trying to find where she was buried and who killed her. And
Yeah.
it is a messed up movie. It's
It is a
pretty.
fucked up movie,
that's
but
the J-Law movie. Okay.
I like that movie. I think it's a good movie.
Wait, which
Right. I'm
movie are
not
you
saying it's
talking about?
bad.
Then?
I'm just
No.
saying it's fucked up.
Yes,
So
but
what's the one
Peter
you're talking
Jackson
about?
kind of started doing kind of fucked up movies because, like, if you think about this movie, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the world that they exist in is terrifying and weird. If
Oh.
like ghosts have that much power, it just seems like most of the ghosts, like most dead people, are just kind of
Just
whatever.
there floating
Yeah.
around. Yeah,
I didn't
There
realize he
wasn't any
wrote
rhyme or
Mortal
reason
Engines.
because at one point I think Frank mentions that people stay behind if they have unfinished business.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
But
pretty standard in
then the
ghost lore.
cemetery, like the town cemetery, was
It's
just
like full of fucking
full of
yeah,
people who were
which
just
is
like
crazy to me
hanging
because
around.
like everybody else we saw die in the movie, they just
Immediately went up. Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Like-
do not understand the.
Like, what
Because
was
he-
Arlie
ghost-
Ermey's unfinished business? Because it seemed like he was like,
He was
But,
just
but
the
the thing
boss of
is,
the library or
Arlie
the
Ermey's
cemetery.
character,
Yeah.
the gunnery sergeant in there,
yeah,
his unfinished business was guarding the souls.
okay,
That's why he was still there. But
Yeah,
Michael
he
J.
does.
Fox
He does
says,
say that. That's right.
yeah, I guess he does.
Michael J. Fox says that everybody else, a lot of times, don't realize they have the option or don't realize that they're dead. So they keep
Mm.
living their lives as if they're still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A
because-
lot
I
of the
mean,
people in that cemetery are couples and
yeah,
families.
because what's his name?
Lindsay's
Peter
had-
Dobson's character is like that. He didn't realize at first that he was dead.
Right. So a lot
although
of
he
people in the
kind of
cemeteries
did
are
because he
families, so
still
they're just
sought out
staying together.
Frank.
Well, he didn't sort out Frank. He was chasing after the funeral because Frank gets hit by the fucking hearse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got hit by
Frank gets hit
his
by
funeral procession.
by the hearse in the funeral procession,
Mm-hmm.
and then Frank is like, "They're taking me. Like, what the fuck is going on?" And he's like, "You're dead, dude." And like, there's like this whole thing about it.
Well,
Yeah.
and then Frank willingly
Frank-
dies.
Frank, his
Frank goes
his
in,
arc
he
is
goes into
kind of fucked
hypothermia
up.
first.
Because yeah, he's kind of a douchebag, but it seems
Yeah.
like he does actually care in his douchebaggy way about Lucy,
Not his wife.
about his wife. He does
I
care
think-
about her.
Well, I think that's because during the movie he learns what he did wrong in life, and he
Right.
sees what
Mhm.
the other guy's doing.
Yeah,
and takes
because
the
he has
cue
a
from him.
redemption arc. Like
Right,
he
he has that
fucking dies.
redemption,
He
yeah.
literally dies for her. Like his
Yeah.
spirit is destroyed. It's not clear to me what happens when ghosts kill each other.
Yeah, that's never explained either. Like the whole
That's in the sequel.
oh yeah.
Oh, the Frighteners 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Electric
god,
Boogaloo.
don't say it because they are going to do that. At some point they're going to resurrect every
I
fucking
just hope
dead.
that I'm dead by the time that this franchise gets made.
I
into,
hope
like,
that
this
Michael
movie.
J. Fox isn't in the movie. Okay. I love the man, but after seeing him yesterday, I don't want him in any more movies. That guy needs to like stay at home and relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's done enough.
Yeah, he's
Like,
done
he's
plenty.
good. put his kid or somebody else in there. I'm like Michael J. deserves some time off.
Don't make another Frighteners. We
Yeah,
already have one.
Yeah, Peter Jackson, if you're listening to this, like, do not make another Frighteners movie. Don't let him do it.
Well, he doesn't make sequels of his own IPs, so we're
That's
okay.
true.
With that.
That is true.
Yeah.
To be fair, he didn't want to make a sequel of The Lord of the Rings either. He just kind of got bullied into it.
The Hobbit,
Well, you mean The Hobbit? Yeah,
which is
Lord of the
actually a
Rings, he's planned
prequel.
one.
It is a prequel, but
Well, I think specifically he didn't want to do 3 of them. He
Right.
wanted.
He thought it would
like,
be good as 2 movies and that he'd be good to go. But
yeah,
they
but
wanted
they made
3
him separate The Hobbit into the 3 books of The Hobbit.
and make us
but-
wait a year between each film.
Yeah. But they condensed all what is it, 8 or 9 books of the Lord of the Rings into
The Lord of the Rings is 3 books.
no
3 books, sir.
no. Go read your books. It was released as 3 novels, but it is like 8 or 9 actual books.
Well,
if
they're
you
like
read the book, it says
the
book 1.
novellas.
Yeah, it's no, because each of those novels is quite long. It was intended to be.
Now we're talking politics again. The Tolkien politics.
Look, I just want you to know that like a lot of those books over there, I don't know if you can read them, but a lot of those books are Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth and like the Lost
I'll read the
Letters and shit.
Silmarillion, you fucking
I
dope.
will go read the Silmarillion because I read those books like once a fucking year, okay?
That's because he can't read real English. He can only read Elven English.
I can read real English.
Elves don't speak English, okay? They
They
speak
speak
Elvish.
Quenya.
See what I mean? And it's frightening that you know that. I'll segue back to the conversation. Here we go.
You're not really doing a very good job of keeping us on track, I gotta say.
Well, at an hour and 12 minutes, you're right.
This
We are
is
now-
why our
this is-
episodes are. This is
Right.
why episodes of the Movie Raccoons are usually between like an hour and 45 and 2 hours long. Because
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the director's cut of the PanelCast. We are taking the Tolkien route of the show by extending it at least 7 or 8 hours. So
This
yeah.
is typical movie
Here
raccoon
we are.
territory, so
We're literally 10 minutes into the movie that we're discussing. We still have the rest of 2 hours and 3-minute long movie to talk, but we're only at 10 minutes.
I think we could recap the rest of it in 5 minutes. Let's go.
yeah, we're definitely more than 10 minutes into the movie because we're talking about the part where he's stealing the lady to save her life from the goat, the Grim Reaper, and then failing miserably because he drives like a maniac. And
And so she gets
well, and also
killed.
he didn't. To be fair, at that time he didn't drive off the cliff because he was driving like a maniac. He drove off the cliff because the Grim Reaper had like run his scythe and was like,
Yeah.
had
Well,
his
he
He had
scythe
to have
chasing
looked
after him because-
insane to the lady that was in the car with
because
him.
he's just like
Because it's
sitting like
like,
this
yeah.
in the car.
Just like driving all crazy, like going like this.
And in between, her heart stops randomly. She's like, what's happening? You know, like
Yeah.
Well, you can
And-
see her reactions in the car. She's like, "What's going? You're not going to kill me. What are you doing? Just let me out." And yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then
anyway,
she dies and goes up to heaven screaming at him that it was his fault the whole
Yeah.
time. And
right,
which was insane to me because it's like, no,
in true Karen fashion.
it's like she literally like dies looking at the ghost that fucking murdered her, and she still is like, "It's your fault."
And
I mean,
because she's
kind of
like the
is.
world's first Karen.
Is it his? It's not his fault. It was gonna happen to her. Even if he hadn't said "you're next," she would have fucking died. He could have sat there and just watched her die.
Plus,
He
it
was
wasn't
trying to
like
do
he was
something
all,
about it.
"You're
So-
next." No, he was like, "You're next." You know, like, he was
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah,
Not
but I
like
mean,
he was a wrestler. Like, "You're next."
I mean, okay, somebody just died, and he sits there and looks at her, and is like, "You're next." Like, how am I supposed to take that? I'm gonna be like, okay, No.
Especially a guy who has been implicated in a series of mysterious deaths recently.
Yeah.
I've been like, I don't know about that.
And how is
So-
R. Lee Ermey the only guy with weapons in this show? This whole movie, he's the only
No.
one that pulled.
No.
The sheriff has a gun,
The
yes.
police shoot the fuck
Oh yeah,
out of that museum.
most accurate
Oh, yeah,
representation
that's
of
right,
police
that's
in a
right.
film. Like they just start blasting regardless
And I
of who
forgot
is
about the
there
sheriff
around
and
them.
his ghost bullets. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but the police definitely pulled a Frank from It's Always Sunny in the museum because they were like,
Not
so
just the
anyways, I started
museum.
blasting
Because
and
they also go outside and continue shooting while
while
there's people running
there's
around. There's like they're shooting while there's people in the museum. Like they're just destroying priceless artifacts. They are. I mean, Frank throws like one object, and then they can proceed to just like gun down every single object in the museum, causing probably billions of dollars worth of damage. And then they take it outside.
And and how nobody else died in that scene other than the two people that died is incredible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but the judge got some, and that's all that matters.
That is true.
Yeah.
We're just hoping it was
In the
consensual on
probably
the
the
judge's
most
part.
disturbing and
Well, he likes it
off-putting
when they
scene
lay
in the
still
movie.
like that, remember?
Yeah, which leads me to believe it was less than consensual, and I'm not. Actually, I take it back. The judge, he needs to hang himself.
You don't know. He's a hanging judge. He could already be hung.
And well, that is the joke, but he is, like I said, he is a disgusting pervert.
Yeah, he's disgusting in very many ways in this movie.
Plus, I mean, his
It's
jaw
just
becomes
funny to me that
unhinged.
it's
We
the
can't
same
tell
guy
if
that
he's
played
straight
Gomez
or not.
Adams.
I know.
Right? I mean, his jaw comes unlocked, so we don't know if he's straight or not. It could be a man, could be a female in the coffin. We don't know.
With those hip, nah, that's a dude. I know it's just such an essentialist argument to make as a non-binary person, but
First world problems here we're discussing.
Yeah,
I'm
but
getting
anyway,
political.
Hanging Judge Gay.
let's look. If he is, more power to him. Whatever.
I wanted to.
Progressive for the 1800s.
I really wanted to see when the hanging judge was shooting, that his bullets were animated, like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's what I was really hoping for. I was sad that I didn't get it.
Some of the ghost interactions, like we haven't really talked about this too much, but some of like the ghost effects and the interactions and stuff are very cartoony.
Yeah,
like
and I think it's a sort of an effect of this is still like early CG. This is 1996.
Yeah.
This is they're using like original Max to render a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Some of it is actually quite good, and then some of it is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to pull a timeout. Continue talking, but I'm going to pull myself off stage. So please continue talking.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, some of it is pretty janky. I thought overall for this movie's age, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. And like the whatever like cloth sims that they were using for the Death Dealer,
right?
I thought were generally pretty good, and especially like in the scenes where it was like crawling through the wallpaper and the carpets and stuff like that. Like there was a scene in the movie where before we know that what's her name, Mary, is in league with Johnny and is running up the stairs, and there's like the ghost going like through the carpeting on the stairs. Like it actually
Mary?
knocked.
No,
I think
Patty.
Patty?
Is it Patty? I think it's Patty.
Yeah, whatever her name is. I could not remember the name of that character for the life of me. I saw her face and I'm like, oh, that's Dee Wallace.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah, for sure. But it's I think Patricia Bradley, something.
something like that. Yeah, that sounds right. But
Yeah,
she's running up the stairs and the ghost is like chasing after, or it's like crawling through the carpet. And when it does that, like the carpet doesn't fall back onto the stairs perfectly level with how it was. It's all like
messed up.
rumpled and messed up. And I thought that
Yeah,
was a really nice effect.
yeah.
So there were some shots in here
Well,
that
I think there
are
was
done really well.
bits where they were combining practical effects um with the
Yeah,
computer effects
absolutely, they were.
because as it was coming up the stairs, it was like shooting off the little things that hold the stair runner in place,
Hmm.
like the little metal bits. I forget what those are called. And they were like shooting off, and they were actually that wasn't CG. That was like there was something like actually getting knocked
Right.
off
So
as
they
this thing
probably
was
were just
passing
like
by.
pulling up the carpet and then like adding the CG ghost onto it. But yeah, like there's a lot of effects and things that were done with the CG that I thought were really well, particularly with the Death Dealer. Like
Yeah,
that, like Johnny's sort of like alter ego ghost thing, I thought was
yeah.
done really well. And
He
also
looks
the
very much like the uh it looks it looks like it's animated. It
mhm.
almost looks like it's hand animated. But I know
I
it was
don't know.
CG.
It was
I,
CG,
it
but
was CG, but it looks hand animated, and I did appreciate that. Yeah, there's some
Are we?
weird jank. There's some pretty good effects. The other ghosts look like they're just done in like the traditional, like just kind of make like you film the person and then you just make them opaque.
yeah, I mean a lot
Like
of
a filter
the
was put
ghosts.
over them or something.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, obviously, a lot of those actors were acting in front of a green screen, and there was like some other effect added to like put them into the scene. Um, and some of those effects were okay. Like sometimes it looked okay, sometimes it looked kind of bad. I thought that there was especially a lot of the effects that they did with the sort of like the nerdy ghost guy whose name I don't ever remember. Like the things that kept happening to him a lot of the times I thought looked pretty bad, and almost too cartoony.
Stewart.
Stewart,
Stewart, that was
some
his
of the
name.
things that there were some shots that I thought were good, but for some reason they decided to go really cartoony with him, whereas they didn't do that as much with the other characters. And even once Frank like tries to like freeze himself so that he can go into like become a ghost and like try to track this thing down better, um he he has some kind of pretty cartoony things happen to him, but it just doesn't, it looked better. And I don't
Yeah,
know if it was just because they tried a little bit extra for those scenes or what it was, but it
I mean, it could be a function of they just ran out of budget. Because you don't like it's not like movies are filmed linearly. They film them like this chunk of the movie, that chunk of the movie.
Well,
You
it
know,
could also be you may have been watching the Laserdisc version on Amazon Prime, which was released uh, early before 2000s, and then the extended cut was re-released and remastered in 2009. And so when I watched that one, and all the effects seem to be on the same level as
yeah.
each other instead of different types. You know what I mean? Where like
well, it's
one
not
scene
that I
looks
thought that
crappy.
some of them looked like they were less well produced. It's more that just like the extent to which they used the effects made it cartoonish. Like
Hmm.
they toned it down for a lot of the other ghosts. And for some reason it was mainly with Stewart that they really just went full like Looney Tunes cartoon with it, which it just seemed incongruous with everything else that they were doing because this movie is a comedy, but it often strikes a very serious tone, and it has like tries to do some, it does have actual horror beats in it. So
Hmm.
it's like, and then you have like this one character who I don't know. I guess maybe Stewart was supposed to be the comic relief, but I think a lot of the other ghosts did that better.
Yeah, like I think Arlie Ermey's character was a much better comic relief.
Or even just like with some of the subtle digs that Chi McBride's character
And Cyrus.
got in, Cyrus did. Like he, you know, was I think a lot better. Even Mr. Linsky, whatever the hell his name was.
Ray.
Why can't I remember the names of any of the
I
characters
don't
in
know.
this
Write
movie?
this shit down, Brian. Come on. What kind of fucking 2-bit operation are you trying to make us look like?
Remember to tune in to the Movie Raccoons because they'll get all the information accurate.
No, we absolutely will not. And that is a promise.
Lucy is the girl doctor. Ray is the
Her
jerk
husband.
I'm never going to remember that.
He's gonna forget
Johnny
it.
Bartlett is the killer.
Yeah, we've been over all of this like several times.
I
in the
remembered
past
a
hour and a half that
handful
we've
of
been
names.
recording.
That's good enough. I do usually have to write these names down to remember the names of all the characters.
You know how I usually remember them is because I have the wiki open right here, and I just look at that periodically.
I have the iPad open and I have the Amazon tablet open.
No, I'm using
Different
my
references
head
here.
here.
Yeah, usually I just have like when we're
And then
recording, I'll have
I have
like
my
3 or
phone just
4
in
windows
case.
open, and I will have the notes that I've taken. Well, actually, the notes that I've taken are here on this lovely notepad because I'm one of those weirdos that still writes things down.
I wrote notes for this movie, and then I don't know where I put my notebook. So
Well, it doesn't help you if you don't.
You just moved it because you were afraid of what it looked like in the background.
no, it's not even in my room. I put it somewhere else, and I don't.
Is there anybody in the waiting area, Brian?
No.
Okay.
It's after hours.
I live in the back rooms, so it's just like it's all hallways.
you live in the hotel hallway.
And
yeah, he specifically lives in like the
All right, let's wrap this up so we can get to the rating.
The Dharma of shame.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you want to know the rest of the movie, they eventually track down and kill
Johnny.
Johnny
Bartlett
is, and his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox drags them both through the portal because they kill Michael J. Fox, and then he kind of like kills her and then takes her, and then that forces Johnny to kind of try to get her to stay back on Earth, and they all go through the tunnel together. Johnny ends up in heaven, or Frank ends up in heaven. Johnny and Patty.
No. Frank didn't die.
Well, Frank ends up at the pearly gates, I guess.
Yeah.
Technically.
And then they say, nope, you got to go back.
And he meets up with his wife, who is
First he meets the two ghosts that
Ralph
were with
Macchio.
him, McBride and Stewart.
He doesn't meet no.
And they're like, hey guy, it's not your time yet. You need to go back. Then he meets his wife and she's like, it's okay. I forgive you. Everything's great. And then he gets pushed back down the tunnel and wakes up in his body.
His dead wife, Deborah, is like, go be happy, and like pushes him back.
And he wakes up in his body in the coroner's office because that's when he was put to. Isn't that how he died? Was that he killed himself in the coroner's office by?
Well, no. When he wakes up in the freezer, he was about to kill Johnny, and then
that's right.
like was worried that it was too long, and so she wakes up, shocks him back.
Because he gets pushed back into his body, he just wakes up. They're still in the sanitarium. Sanatorium. They're still in the sanitarium because that's where like the final showdown happens, is back at the sanitarium where the initial 12 murders happened.
Yeah.
Everything comes full circle in the movie.
Yeah. Right.
So then
but the ending scene was my favorite.
Yes. Then it ends with them having a picnic and he's having his house torn down ostensibly to build a new house.
A new dream house with his new girlfriend, the doctor.
Yeah, that he hopefully doesn't get drunk and drive off a cliff with in the car. Maybe we should just let her drive. She definitely drives a lot better, so I think she's going to be driving from now on.
I think they should just be helicoptered in at this point.
Yeah.
Like Just
Mm-mm.
hire a copter.
Those things are
to
not
fly you.
safe.
That's true. That's how Kobe went. So
So, but you get the final little last bit of nudging. You hear the Blue Oyster Cult playing in the background.
don't fear the Reaper.
Don't fear the
Oh,
Reaper.
and this is
And then you
something we
see the
have not
police
talked
chief.
about this whole time that I love is the Danny Elfman soundtrack to this film is
Yes.
fucking fantastic. Plus the other songs that they have that play randomly throughout the movie.
Well, that's normally what we talk about, like in the next section when we do the ratings.
Yeah, but we usually mention it at some point.
That's true.
Can't we wrap the fucking movie up first? How's that?
The movie's fucking wrapped up. That's the end of the movie. Roll fucking
I didn't
credits.
tell
Okay,
the
let's
movie. I
go.
didn't tell the end of the movie yet. The sheriff drives away, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
see,
The ghost.
Jeffrey Combs, his ghost, in the back seat.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
And there's-
Lucy is like, what's his name? Milton looks really upset today or something like that. And then reveal that she can see the ghost too now because she's also had a traumatic fucking experience in her life.
Right.
And
And they drive off into the sunset.
and she picks up the blanket and like chases Frank around like she's the fucking
He's the wraith, yeah.
yeah.
Given how many shots were fired during the museum scene, everyone in the town should be able to see ghosts.
I guess it has to be a specific, especially traumatic experience. And he didn't say if it was like brain trauma or something like that. But he's had several like major like physical traumas
Oh yeah.
in this
I
film.
mean, he just gets
crashes
hit by
his
a
car.
car.
He gets
and
hit by
walks
a
it
car.
off.
He crashes his car twice.
Mm-hmm. That we know of.
That we know of. 3 times actually that we know of. He crashes his car twice in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He dies at least 2 times in this film.
He dies twice in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And he falls through 4 fucking stories of
Yeah.
floor.
And
And he
you
gets
wonder,
shot with an Uzi
Yeah.
by Milton. And I just want to know, why was Milton in the sheriff's car?
because he's law enforcement.
He's just
They're
haunting
both-
the sheriff now,
Right. Just trying to solve those mysteries.
I guess.
Yes,
Gotta
he has
finish
unfinished
business.
Anyways, so usually at this point then in the podcast, we're when we're done with the film, then we get into our rating system, and we have a very patented rating system. I'm sure Brian talked to you about this at some point, telling you how it goes, what we do, and so we
No,
assume that you
I'm just
know
gonna spring it on
everything,
you.
and I'm not going to explain any of it to you.
So it works like this. Our rating system is on a 1 through 5 scale, but
Of
it's 1
garbage
through
cans.
5 garbage cans. So basically, the worse something is, the higher the rating.
The more
Or it
garbage
is.
cans it is.
And if an aspect of the movie is just so absolutely egregious that it doesn't bear rating, you can also just give it a burning dumpster fire of a rating.
Flaming dumpster fire. Just
It has
dumpster
no
fire.
numerical equivalent. It is just objectively the worst.
Could it be like dead raccoons? Could it be like 1 dead raccoon, 2
No.
dead
No,
raccoons?
we're the
No,
raccoons.
we are
and
living
do not want-
raccoons. We
Right,
do
but I mean, if
not
it's that bad, you
condone.
start going into the negative.
We do not condone the death
No.
and mistreatment of raccoons.
That
But
will
you
not
have
happen.
to have a negative rating. So, like, you have 5 trash cans as being the highest,
5
and
trash
negative
cans.
5 dead raccoons as being the
No.
lowest.
No,
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 no.
no. 5 trash cans is the most garbage. That's actually the worst. So we rate it from the least garbage to the most garbage.
I think you guys should do Chia
Listen, just
Cthulhu's.
work the system, man. Okay.
Just do Chia Cthulhu's, 1 or 2 Chia Cthulhu's. That's all you need.
I do like the Chia Cthulhu that's going on there. I didn't even
Mhm.
realize what that is because you're like this big on my screen. But
Well, I can't. Can I reach it? Yes, I can.
no, you can. Oh, there it is. That's freaking amazing. I did not realize that.
Yeah. And it's an actual chia pet.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's an actual Chia Cthulhu. That thing is.
Comes like this and grows a fro.
Are you gonna actually like get the paste, the chia paste, and
No,
powder
this
it?
was a white elephant gift this year. I think I'm just going to re-gift it for next year.
Okay.
But in the
The
meantime,
perfect thing to do with a white elephant gift.
it
It's
makes a
just
great conversation piece back
pass
here.
it on to somebody else.
Yeah, you know what? I got a smoking Santa Claus. It's like an incense burner, but it's like Santa Claus, and he's smoking a pipe. And I kept that one because I think it's hilarious, and I put him out with like our little nativity, and so you got like smoking Santa Claus smoking over the little baby Jesus.
It's true. I've seen it.
Nice.
And yeah, so
So
we
trash
break
can.
it down into a number of categories. So there's 5 categories that we rate the movies on. It's story, which is sort of like the script, the writing, the plot of the film. Um, what these are all subjective too. Like, what is the text? What is the subtext of the movie? And how did you feel about it? Performance, that's the acting, the characters. How are the characters coming across? How's the performances in general? Visual design, which is everything from the direction, the editing, set design, costuming, hair, the look and the feel of the movie. Then we broke out a special category off of that because they used to. I think at one point we had these as one category,
Yeah,
but
but it
now
didn't really make sense
it
that
didn't really
way.
make sense. So we took effects and moved them into their own category, and to talk about like practical effects or computer effects, just how are the special effects being used to support the visual design, and then sound design, which is music, soundtrack, Foley, all that stuff. And then we do a 6th sort of overall category, just because we can go and shit on a movie all day about like all of that. And I think we've done this a few times where we've like,
Mhm.
this movie was just absolute shit in terms of the direction and the acting and the special effects and all of this. But overall, I fucking loved it. So like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And I think that came out a bunch in when we did um Who Killed Captain Alex. It was kind of that way.
Yeah,
Because like
a
the movie is an
fantastic movie that
objectively
is very
bad
badly
movie,
made.
but it's so fucking enjoyable to watch. And hey, have you seen AJ? Have you seen Who Killed Captain Alex?
No.
Oh, you
I
definitely
recommend
need.
it.
Yeah, watch that movie. It's like it's this Ugandan film that's like it's a love letter to action movies, and it's fucking amazing.
Hmm.
And he made it with like $400 fucking dollars in like the mid
Yeah,
2000s.
he edited the movie together on a PC that was made out of like scrap parts.
Right.
Nice.
So like, yeah, it great. It's just like it was a passion project, and just like
Yeah.
it's
Like
it's
he
great.
got like the people in his village to like run around with like wooden
Oh, I've heard of
guns.
that movie. Okay, I've heard
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just it's brilliant. Like the vision is brilliant,
Hmm.
and like the passion's there. You can feel the passion in this film. It's not like this passionless uh thing like the
It's not like the
Who Killed
corporate,
or They Saved
like
Hitler's Brain, which like this is a movie that has no vision and has no passion and has no story.
a
It's
movie which was basically just assembled for financial gain and no other reason.
yeah. And I really hope nobody made any money on that. So, what did you think of the story, AJ?
Frighteners.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
we're rating the movie.
I thought if I had to give it trash can 5, what's the highest score? What's the best score? And what's the
Well,
Well, the least amount of garbage you can give something is I guess technically 0. We've been kind of all over the place in rating. The scale is 1 to 5, but if you want to give something 0 garbage cans, you can do that as well.
yeah.
Okay, so I want -5 dead raccoons.
Nope.
'Cause I thought the story was
We're
That's
not
awesome.
doing that.
that's not no, that's not going to work.
Mm-mm.
We're not
That
harming
works for me.
raccoons.
You're on
No
my show right
raccoons
now.
get
So.
made. No raccoons are harmed in the filming of our podcast.
Great, but you're on my podcast, so I make the rules.
Well, had I
It
known
says
this was
Movie
going to be the
Raccoons
case, I
right
would
under
never
my
have agreed
name.
to this.
So
Huh?
it says Movie Raccoons right under my name.
It does,
Yeah.
but if you see the scrolling banner,
Right here,
now
it says
Movie
Movie
Banner.
Raccoons.
Hmm.
Okay, so then I would have to give it 0 trash because I love the story and the writing. I thought everything he wanted to come across was great. So
Yeah.
I was all aboard for it. Maybe a couple of things he could have picked up on, but that's just because over time, some stuff just doesn't carry over with technology and verbiage and whatnot, belief systems and other things. But for the time and period that it came out in, I thought it was amazing. I've been in love with this movie since it came out. So
Yeah, and I do remember when I had watched this movie before, I did really enjoy it. Um,
Hmm.
I'm pretty much gonna agree. I don't know if I'm gonna say it's a 0 garbage can film, but it's definitely a 1 garbage can film for the story. Um, there's not a lot of wasted plot in this. There's not a bunch of like useless exposition. There,
Hmm.
like everything kind of moves, even though it's a fairly long movie. So I think it's
2 hours
almost
and
two.
3 minutes.
Yeah, it's a pretty long movie. Um, it doesn't feel like like a 2 hour plus movie.
Yeah.
No.
Like it keeps you engaged the whole time. It's not like some of the movies we watched recently that are kind of like a slow burn,
Hmm.
like Mandy, which is also a long film, and it is a very like it's a slow burn. It's like very little, very little, very little, and then boom,
Yeah.
it gets insane.
It's like
Um,
a movie that it's like, it's got the pedal all the way down and you're just waiting for them to release the handbrake on that movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this one, like, yeah, it's just like it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going.
it hits its
It really
plot beats
does.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, and I really like that. I think that it's really well written. It was written by I think this was Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh were the writers on this, and I think they did a really good job
Hmm.
creating these characters and like writing the dialogue so it sounds and feels pretty natural.
Right.
There's quite a few movies where you get the dialogue and it doesn't follow like the example here would be Madam Web that we had done recently. With the villain in that, like his responses to things, like his all of his dialogue doesn't make any sense in like it's completely non sequitur because it doesn't follow what people have been talking about before or after what he says.
Yeah.
Like it's just
'Cause
there.
he was villain monologuing. That every single time he spoke, he was doing the villain monologue.
But
Right.
for nothing
For no
for no
reason. That's
reason.
what I'm
He
saying.
was
I'm saying there's just
monologuing
no
at
point in it.
people in a fucking in a dialogue.
The bad guy
Right.
in this
Which
movie barely says anything. Like,
until the very end of the movie, and he's
yeah.
a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. Um
And
yeah,
he's good at it. And
mhm,
Jake Busey is good at this type of character. This like
Yeah.
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
completely unhinged kind of character like this or the weirdo that he fucking plays in Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Um like
He's a little more normal in Starship Troopers.
is he?
Yeah,
He-
He
compared to this.
comparatively yes. But
he's not a serial killer in Starship
he's not
Troopers.
yeah, he's not a
Right.
serial killer in Starship Troopers, but like
He's just a smart ass and stuff. He
yeah,
talks a smart
he's
ass.
still kind of like a smart ass doof, like high energy.
He is just a straight up like crazy person in Contact.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, I
That's
forgot
where
about
I met him.
Contact.
I met him for like 5 seconds. I was like, I'm over here now.
Um,
So, um
yeah. So Brian, what's your rating?
I'm going to agree with you. I think this is a one garbage can. I think that there is like there's some things about the story that don't make a lot of sense. There was stuff that didn't get fleshed out that I would have liked to see more of. Like I didn't need a bunch of exposition dumps, and I appreciate that this movie doesn't really have a lot of those. But there were things about it that I thought could make a little more sense. It
Yeah, like
it
the
almost
like
felt
how
like
people end up in heaven or like how they cross over to the other side, like what this light transportation system that we talked about.
Yeah, because that part at least seems to be like a really like the fact that like all the ghosts kind of react differently and have different like abilities or whatever. I don't care about that. Like whatever, that's fine. But the actual like the whole thing about like going to heaven or hell or wherever like whatever sort of afterlife
The
this
good
place
place, the
has,
bad place,
yeah,
whatever you
it
want to call
doesn't
it.
they don't really identify
Depends on
anything.
what show you're
But
watching and what season it's on.
I didn't need to know like what system of like religious belief this movie was trying to take, although it's very like Christian coded, but it like the actual importance of what is happening doesn't really ever come across. Like it seems to be a movie that's mostly focused on the
Frank,
Johnny Bartlett and his quest for like you know post-mortem
Infamy.
evil, and not really like, but then there's also this sort of other aspect that comes into it that is never really addressed, which I would have liked to have seen. But other than that, like I think yeah, this movie is great and I don't understand why people don't like it. Like I think
yeah,
that this movie is actually underrated, and yeah, one garbage can for me.
Yeah.
I think
So
this film does a great job of showing how the cast can get along.
mhm.
Um, the writing was great because they were delivering one-liners and bouncing off each other left and
Oh yeah.
right with what seemed like practice or just natural.
Well,
You know,
this movie
like
has a really good cast.
it has a
Hmm.
fantastic cast, and I think that look, they took the most repetitive story in the world. Person sees ghosts, ghost needs to put away trauma to move on, guy helps
Hmm.
them. That is common as frack. Everywhere that you look is that
Yeah, that
story
is
lined up.
literally the movie Ghost.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, there's tons of movies out there like that. The Others, Ghost, everywhere.
Right.
And Peter Jackson took it and personalized it and made it
He put the Peter
about
Jackson quirk to it.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
that's
He
one
gave
thing
the
that he's really
ghosts
good at is making really quirky movies.
he made the ghosts not only gave them a personal touch and a backstory, but he made us give a shit about whether this ghost lives or dies,
Right.
or if this ghost passes on or not.
Right.
That's kind of hard to do in most cases. And he helped us connect with Michael J. Fox's character with the death of his wife and how he's dealing with all this stuff, and
Right.
where this scumbag con man that's
Right.
preying on victims of death.
Right.
We empathize with him. We want him to win. We want him to succeed.
Yeah, and he
And we
does
get
have like
mad
a
when people
noticeable
stop
redemption
him.
arc in the film. Like he redeems himself. You know,
Right.
he is presumably not a con man anymore after the movie. Or like, you
Yeah.
know, in the denouement of the movie, he's going back to being an architect. Also, he's got a doctor girlfriend now. So like
Hmm.
she's got doctor money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he's moving on up.
And so, it's a full on redemption for Michael J. Fox, but that's still
Yeah,
something you don't really see much of in these ghost type stories in a
right.
way that, you turn that anti hero into a big hero. And I thought Peter Jackson did a good job with it in the writing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So, what did you think about the performances then? The acting, the characters. This is more. You can talk about like how the characters are written too. How are the performances coming across in general?
I thought they were great. I thought Chi McBride was Chi McBride to
Is
the
it
limit.
Chi McBride? I always thought his name was Kai McBride.
I always thought it was Chi, but
I thought it was
because
Chi too.
Oh, maybe I don't. I I don't know. I just knew a guy named
we'll,
Kai and he spelled it like that. So
we'll just
it's
go with McBride.
yeah, McBride. He's a great actor. He's a good
Right, he's
comedic actor.
McBride.
phenomenal actor. But when he was like, "Hey, she was so young, dude," like all the other jokes that he looked like he had so much fun on that movie. All the actors looked like they had a blast just filming that movie.
Yeah,
And when I see that in the cast, whether
yeah,
it's Lord of the Rings or anything else, you see the
yeah,
camaraderie on screen, and you can only guess how fun it was off screen, and
yeah.
you appreciate that. So, and it comes off in the movie and their performances and the portrayals of those characters.
One
And I
hundred
think
percent.
that especially with the whole Johnny Bartlett character,
Yeah,
you were talking about earlier, he encompassed that role. He was that role.
yeah.
Even and yeah, I just loved it. So I thought the writing and the characters, their performances were spot on.
So what's your rating?
I'd give it the one garbage can, I guess. Yeah,
All right.
I would have liked to have seen some more tears. I would like to have seen the judge more. And I'm glad with the extended cut that we got to see a lot more of the
I was gonna
judge.
say
But
you got more of the judge with the extended cut.
and you got a humanization of the judge too, which is what we didn't get before. But I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more. I wanted to see the ghosts in heaven kicking it. Like we
Yeah.
got to see them pushing
We got
him
to see a
back,
little bit. I mean,
but I wanted to see them
Cyrus
hanging
got
out.
his cigar finally,
Right.
so
I
there's
just
that.
wanted to see a little, and it's selfish reasons I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
That's understandable. Yeah,
Carl?
I think I'm with you on that. I enjoyed the performances. Everybody that was in this movie looked like they were having a ball, and were just they really enjoyed. Everybody seemed like they really enjoyed it. Like Michael J. Fox looks like he's having a good time making this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and in the scenes where he's not, like the really heavy scenes, he's still looking pretty like he just does a really good job. Like there's like the one scene where he's just come back from the dead, his face is all like red and like you're just like, man, he looks like he just fucking died and came back to life. Like they did a
Right.
really good job. Like, and I guess that more goes into the visual design and the costuming and the makeup, but he everybody's performances came across really really solidly for me. I enjoyed all of them. Jake Busey is fucking crazy in this movie, and I love it. Actually, everybody, Jake Busey, fuck, I cannot remember her name now.
I
that
thought
plays
Dee Wallace did a really
Dee-
good job of the transition between like this sort of
the
like
like
the
battered little girl to like the
yeah
psychomaniac with the
yeah
yeah. She did a really good job. Her mom, was also really good at playing kind of a crazy person in her own way.
she
Like,
reminded me a lot of what's her name from Gremlins
yeah, the mean lady.
yeah
Yeah, I don't remember her name either. But the lady that everybody hates.
Mhm.
The lady gets
and
flung out on. They gets like jettisoned from her house on her stair chair.
yeah
Oh my god! Do you remember that episode of Misfits? Sorry. Did you guys ever watch the Misfits?
the British show
Yeah.
I did I think I watched like 2 seasons of it, maybe more. I
Sorry.
don't remember the details of any of it, to be honest.
These kids develop magic powers, super X-Men powers, and so there's one scene where this kid's in the house, and um, he's with this hot chick, and they're going up one of those chairs, going up the stairs, and they're having sex. But by the time he gets to the top of the stairs, she reverts back to an 83-year-old woman. And he starts screaming and freaking out. And she's like, "Well, baby, why do you think we're on this chair?"
No, it was not like
It
that at
reminded
all.
me of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Who
but there
wa-
was
who-
less sex in the Gremlins.
Right.
yeah, I don't think there was any sex in the Gremlins.
That's still less.
Well, as far as
That's
human
true.
sex.
No, I don't think there's any other kind in that movie.
There were gremlins pantomiming.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay. I challenge you to watch it.
We just did watch
we
it.
literally just watched it for our
part 1 or
Christmas
part-
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought in part 2 there was some.
Oh yeah, we didn't do part
Part
2.
2, we
but
haven't done
that's-
part 2 yet.
Maybe we'll do
Yeah.
that next Christmas.
Yeah.
So
Brian still
then,
needs to give his rating.
Brian, what's your rating?
Rating on the performances, I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm like at a 1.5, I guess. Some of the performances I thought could have been a little bit more interesting. There were some of the characters that just, they're just kind of whatever to me. Most of the main
Well,
cast were all really good. Yeah, there were just some of like the ancillary side characters that I thought were just kind of whatever. So adds a little extra garbage for me.
Fair enough. So the next is visual design. As we talk about, as I said, cinematography, direction, editing, set design, costumes, makeup, anything that goes into making the look and the feel of the movie.
0.
Yeah,
I don't see me giving a trash can for any reason whatsoever. I thought
yeah, it's hard with
everything.
Peter Jackson. He has just a special eye for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even if some people, even if it's not what you would normally see, or what looks high polished in some other movies, it looks good in these kind of films.
I
The
don't need the
dirtiness, the
polish.
grittiness, the
I've said
roughage.
this so many times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need the polish in a
I
movie.
specifically like movies that don't have the polish.
But you can tell that the judge was obviously wearing latex mask underneath, all that stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't care. It added
No.
to it to me.
yeah.
I thought
That's
it
what
was
I
kind
mean.
of a
Like,
cool effect to
it-
have. Like
this is getting to the point of what we like on the movie Raccoons, because we like a specific amount of jank
Yeah.
in our films. Like, the movies that rate the highest with us tend to be movies like this, where is it the highest quality film that exists? No, it's not. It's not the most polished thing. But it is good quality. It is professional, and there
It
was a
has
lot.
care.
It has care. It has character.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of like things that are really highly polished don't have any character. You get like these kind of generic fucking, stories and archetypes for the
Yeah.
characters, and generic scene setups, and generic makeup and
I mean, like, the
costuming.
Marvel movies are a good example. While I did enjoy many of the Marvel movies, like, they are like basically all the same, even though they all have different directors. Like, there's not a
They're
whole lot of variety between them.
they're
I,
templated,
Yeah.
and
I enjoy the Marvel movies that are on location as opposed to on set.
that's true.
And
And
so, yeah, this movie is like, this is one that had like Peter Jackson's vision, and like, it's a very distinctive vision.
yes,
With the way he did things, there's a great example of this that he explains away the bad special effects. Like there's one scene where you see the babies floating around,
yeah.
right? You think, oh, that's obvious wire work, blah blah blah, and then
And then he
boom,
shows
they
the
show
ghost
them.
holding them.
It's the ghost holding them. That's why it looks so fake.
Yeah,
He like explains away the bad effects.
right.
So you're like,
Which
oh, well, shit, okay.
which I like,
Right.
because
It's very meta on his part.
yeah. And the good thing about Peter Jackson is he understands enough about like the effects and what they're going to look like that he doesn't linger on the bad effects that long. Like,
Right.
if it's a shitty effect, it's like it shows it and then it moves on to something else. So you don't have time to be like, "Wait, that was shit." Like, like you can think about it later and like, "Yeah, that didn't look so good." But like in the moment, you don't it doesn't linger on it. It doesn't stay on it for too long. So you're
Yeah.
just like, okay, here, now we got a good this it's good enough. The effect gets the point across.
Right.
Because he's going for the shot and not to showcase something.
And he's going for vibes. And
Yeah. Peter
I
Jackson is a
love
vibes director for
vibes
sure.
movies like that. Like Jank is a vibe.
Yeah.
And it is probably my favorite thing in films. Like Peter Jackson does it to a degree,
Mhm.
especially he used to before before the Lord of the Rings, like the movies he did before the Lord of the Rings. Sam Raimi's another one that
Yep.
has a lot of jank in his film. Which we
John
need to do some
Carpenter.
Sam Raimi on the
We
podcast.
definitely do. I
John
mean, it's on our
Carpenter,
slate.
a perennial
So
favorite on the podcast so
yeah,
far. One of my personal favorites is I just watched Eraserhead the other day. David Lynch's
yeah. David
one of
Lynch.
my absolute favorite filmmakers of all time. But all of these filmmakers, John Waters, they all have this sort of jank in their movies, even when they're doing high budget films,
Hmm.
like multi-million-dollar budget films. Like, yeah, I get like, I think um movies like Pink Flamingos was made with like essentially no money, and but he made like Crybaby and movies later that Hairspray. These movies had budgets, you know, and they're still kind of janky, and they're still really fucking good movies, and that's what Peter Jackson brings to this. So the sets are beautiful. Um, the costumes is just kind of generic 90s. That's not so I don't know, no, maybe not, because like you have
Well, you got to
like when the
understand that the
flashback
costume,
scenes to the 1960s look pretty good, and
the
you,
costumes that the ghosts are wearing are from their time periods, and I thought
yeah,
those were awesome.
yeah, like the judge is
Right.
there.
And McBride's a disco costume, and
Yeah,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, and so I thought those were good. The one thing I did like also was some of the cinematography. I don't mean to
yeah.
jump in on you there, Carl, but
No, go ahead.
um, a lot of the movie, if you noticed, it's very dark and gloomy, rainy, all that stuff. Everything's dark. The only time you see sunlight is when Frank is happy or having a happy thought,
Yeah,
a flashback.
yeah,
So in the flashbacks of the sanitarium where Johnny's killing everything, everything's bright and colorful because they're in a happy place. They're doing happy things that make them happy. He's flashbacking to his wife and stuff. There's a sunny place. At the end of the movie, the sun is finally rising, all the clouds are dissipating, and his life is finally going to move on.
yes,
So Peter Jackson's use of the light source there as a storytelling element, I thought was great.
yeah,
All the gloom and doom and ghosts are gone. Frank is happy.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It, that I love that sort of stuff where it's like you're able to do like that sort of like atmospheric storytelling
Hmm.
is one of my absolute favorites.
And I like the fact that it's a horror movie that isn't just entirely all gray and bleak. Like even though the weather in this town is sort of like rainy and depressing, like we get like it. There are a lot of bright scenes, and not just in the flashbacks.
Right.
There's like just different parts of like it's not
Yeah,
everything's
when
not
they're in
all
like
like
the
gray
medieval
and dank.
times analog place, it's not so gray and gloomy in there. But that's because
They're happy.
Frank and Lynn are like making a connection,
Yeah.
Right.
you know?
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah,
Like
the
it
visual
looks
design
really
is
nice.
freaking amazing. This is zero
Hmm.
garbage can for me.
Like even though we couldn't really put a finger on where this takes place, it did feel like a real place.
Yes. Yeah. The look
I
and the
want to
feel of the
go.
movie is fantastic. And that's
Yeah,
really what I get into. Like
exactly. Yeah.
so the
Uh,
special effects.
I didn't get my rating yet.
Oh, well fucking all right.
I know we're already
Well,
2 hours in. Let's go.
no, now I don't want to.
Come
You're
on, we still
cutting
got
into
two
my
No,
more
bacon
categories.
time, bro.
my rating on this is one garbage can.
Okay. So the effects. This is special effects, practical effects. How is the visual design being supported through the effects?
As I said before, I love that whatever effects were had, whatever jankiness there was in it, was explained away by Peter Jackson, showing that the ghosts are there.
Mm,
Some of the haziness in the ghosts are empowered by their beliefs in themselves. So some of them are faded, some of them are brighter. In some aspects, it's just
Hmm.
belief systems. In that point, the bullet tearing, the sheriff's bullets, all that stuff, I thought were great. Um, I don't see a lot of problems in this. I'd give it maybe one trash can because I'll be honest, I didn't rewatch it like you guys did recently. I watched it a month ago, and I just remember seeing it 1,000 times. I'll give it
If
one
it's a movie
trash
that you've
can
been watched a bunch of times,
because I
that's
loved it so
Our
much. It just
ratings are all vibes anyway, too. There doesn't have
Yeah.
to be any sort of rational explanation for your
No.
rating.
Our rating system is purely subjective. There is no quantifiable thing. We've changed it part of the way through, so it's not even consistent from like the beginning to now.
Yeah.
well, then I'm gonna
Internal
give it a 0
consistency is not what we
because
do.
Yeah, we didn't used to
Peter
give like half
Jackson
and
Peter
zeros.
Jackson made it look like a town in an environment I wouldn't mind living in.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't care if I was Frank and I had ghosts. I see ghosts. I lived in that town. Fucking hey, let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's make some money. I'm gonna go to a coffee shop and talk to myself on my Bluetooth and pretend I'm talking to myself on the Bluetooth while I'm having a conversation with ghosts. Like I'm gonna get some gossip. I'm gonna get some dirt about everybody. Yeah,
Have the ghost like looking over the shoulder of somebody, like
that's
so you
right.
like
My
read their
ghost will
texts and
be
shit.
peeping.
Mhm.
They will be peeping Tommen for me. I will be playing 5-card stud with everybody as the ghosts tell me what cards they have.
I'm
It'd
pretty
just be
sure the
fun.
casinos will still kick you out for doing that.
Oh, they can't. The ghost will catch me and throw me back in. That's what they're there for.
All right. So you're giving it 0. I'm gonna give it 1 for the special effects. I think they were pretty good for 1996, honestly.
Hmm.
Like given the time, like do they hold up now? Not so much, but given that time period, I think they look pretty good. And Peter Jackson does a pretty good mix of both practical and CG effects in this, and I appreciate that.
Practical
No,
CG and just special effects as well.
yeah,
Most of the ghost effects in this are actually just special effects. They're not even CG.
yeah. It's just
Or they're like touched up with CG.
Which is
yeah,
something I like. I
Yeah.
like practical effects better than I like computer CGI, complete
but
CGI. You
practical
know,
effect. But some of the effect work is done with just like the
Some of it's
like
still digital,
compositing and
just
stuff
not
like
like
that.
CG.
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying is you didn't see McBride in a mocap outfit, did you?
Right.
No.
That's what I'm talking about. He was wearing clothes. He was on set. They just hazed over his character in
Yeah.
After Effects. And
Yeah.
I like that sometimes a lot better than having him just be a mocapped outfit like
Mhm.
Right.
Avatar or anything
It,
like that.
I mean,
It
also
does
because the
look more
1996
real. Yeah.
mocap
Right,
wasn't particularly good
Yeah.
yet. Like it was there, but it wasn't super good.
right.
I have to say that for me, I think that while there were a lot of the effects in this movie that are kind of janky and don't hold up well, particularly with the CGI, I still think actually the CGI, a lot of the CGI does hold up because of how fast the action is moving. It hides a lot of that. And they're doing like really basic sort of like cloth simulations for the Reaper ghost thing. And
Mhm.
so like
And it's
that, like
dark, so you don't get a
it's
lot of the
dark, you know, but there were times where some of the other special effects that were not necessarily computer effects, especially with the ghosts, they had a lot of touches that I thought were really good. Like in a lot of them, like when the ghosts are like walking through the environment, you could see like the scene behind them would like warp as like their body moved through the scene. Like you could see like the warping as like this ripple effect as they passed
The
through.
discoloration
And
of the background, yeah.
yeah, and so there was this attention to detail put to making them appear actually transparent and
yeah,
you know
kind of
in the
giving them a
scene.
physicality that
Yeah, like as like the density of their like ethereal body would like affect how much the background rippled as they passed by. And so
mhm,
there were a lot of like really good touches like that. Like it was a thing that it was clear to me that this movie was really really trying to like squeeze as much out of its budget as it could, and it didn't always succeed 100%, but I think that the effort really works and that it mostly benefits the story. So I'm going to say that it's also one garbage can on the special effects for me.
All right. So then we're going to sound design. This is the music, the score, the soundtrack, the sound effects. How does that complement or contradict the mood and the tone of the film?
Again, having loved this film for as long as I have, I'd give it half a trash can. I thought the music set the mood perfectly. The
Yeah.
different songs, the soundtrack, everything about it, just
If I ever write a horror film, I am gonna have Danny Elfman score it.
right.
Like,
If he's still alive, he also did the intro score for Tales from the Crypt.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
he's done tons of things. I mean, he did Batman with Tim
Tons.
Burton. He is a fantastic um movie
Musician.
scorer
Hmm.
or composer. That's the word I was looking for. And not just that, but like the other things. I mean, I thought it was funny that they put like that cover of "Don't Fear the Reaper." I don't think that was the original
No, it
Blue Oyster
wasn't.
Cult version. Um, and some of the other film like music that was in this was I thought it was very complimentary to what was going on in the film.
Hmm.
The Foley all sounds kind of interesting, like when like the ghost sounds are believable. It's not things that
There was
yeah, like
nothing
what does a
about them that.
ghost sound like? But like some of the weirdness of the ghosts, you're like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, that,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like there was nothing about it that made me go, no, that's not what a ghost sounds like.
right.
And
There
just
was
like,
no Wilhelm screams or anything like that in this film.
that's
Although
true.
sometimes that's actually acceptable, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. It's got to be used in the right way. But yeah, I really enjoyed the soundtrack. It was one of those soundtracks that I was aware of, but it wasn't a bad thing. Like sometimes you watch a movie and you don't like you have no memory of the soundtrack whatsoever, and you're like, well, then it must have been a pretty good soundtrack. Like I felt things during the movie, but I don't. But the soundtrack didn't like stand out. But
Right.
I like movies or the really good soundtracks are ones that you're very aware of at the time, and it's still like it's not taking you out of the movie. It's not like it's not pulling you out, and it's not causing you to like suspend your disbelief or anything like that. It's still like if anything, you're aware of it, and it's actually helping you get in deeper. And
I have the original score on Spotify. I love listening to it while I'm doing Transformers or working on stuff, writing. Uh, Gorgeous and haunting and amazing.
yeah,
And it has the instrumental version of "Don't Fear the Reaper" in there, uh,
okay,
which I love. It's awesome. But I'm sorry, whenever I hear "Don't Fear the Reaper" driving around or anywhere in the world, I think of the Frighteners, and
yeah,
in that way, he did a great job with it. In my opinion, it's in my brain is that.
yeah, 100%. I think that's a good encapsulation. So how many garbage cans are you giving it? You said
I said half.
half. I'm going with 0,
Um,
Brian.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe like half a garbage can on that.
Okay. So then that brings us to our last category, which is the overall category.
17 garbage cans.
I mean, at that point, just give it a dumpster fire rating, right?
No, because I'm going to
How
light the
many
bowling
how many
ball on
cans of
fire and
garbage
knock
does
them
a
all down.
dumpster hold? That's the question.
17.
Well, it depends on what kind of garbage. What kind of garbage cans are we talking about? Are we talking about like the big like 30-gallon garbage cans? Are we talking about like the small little like 10-gallon ones that you have, 5 or 10-gallon ones that you have in your kitchen? What kind of trash
Well,
can are we talking about
I
here?
mean, if it's raccoons eating the
Raccoons
trash,
only go into the
So it's got to
outside
be
trash
the
cans
trash.
outside
outside.
trash. So
Yeah,
that's like the 30 to 50-gallon trash cans. I bet you
I bet 17 probably is pretty close.
yeah, it's probably pretty close
That's what
actually.
I said. 17.
Little
I
did
can't
we
just
know
take
that
what you say at
AJ
face
is
value.
actually a
Okay.
dumpster expert. and he knows exactly how many trash cans worth of trash you can fit inside a dumpster.
That's right. No, I'm a Tetris expert.
I mean, throwing things away is basically Tetris, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, trying to get it to
Okay,
fit in the
so
dumpster. Anyways, what's your overall take on this film? This
overall,
category is your experience, your enjoyment of the film, your thoughts on the general film quality.
I will say that I go along every day knowing that I enjoy the movie and love it, but when I put the movie on and it begins, and I get to the end, and I'll have a little tear going, and I'll go, "Fuck!" I forget just how good this movie is,
Yeah.
and how good the extended edition makes it. And so I've got to give it. There's no trash cans on this thing, man. Every time I go back, I fall in love with it more and more and more. I'm reminded of how much I love it. It's one of the reasons I recommend it to you guys. I recommend it to everybody I know. It's an older movie. It's old school Peter Jackson, but it doesn't disappoint me.
It's old but gold, man. I agree.
It is yet to disappoint me in any viewing, any shape or form.
No.
So there you go, 0.
All right. Yeah, I agree. This is actually one of my favorite movies that we've watched. I think it was one of the most enjoyable films that we've watched. It's not my normal kind of garbage films that I watch. But I really did enjoy it, and I think I'm gonna give it half a garbage can in total. It's very close to the best film that we've watched.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of around that same area in that I was thinking one garbage can because there are other movies that we've covered that I have liked more. But also this has both Michael J. Fox and Jeffrey Combs in it. So I'm like, I gotta lower it. So yeah, I'm gonna say half a garbage can on this
And
one. Like
can we
it's
give some love to the sheriff?
Oh yeah.
That sheriff is like in every movie playing the same role, but he
Yeah,
fucking kills it.
he is what the hell is his name? Is it Troy Evans? Troy Evans is the he's just this character actor that's like he plays this same fucking character in every fucking thing he's in.
Right?
but if you need the oafish cop, he's
Yeah,
there for you.
he's so good at it. He's one of those guys that I'm like every time I see him I'm like, "Oh, I remember that guy. He was in whatever." He's been in fucking everything.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy when you see him, you're like, I know that guy, and you have
Yeah.
to immediately IMDb him.
He's like
Yeah,
a Wilford
and
Brimley
then you
type.
look at his IMDb credits and you're like, "Shit, this guy has literally been in everything."
You're like, how? Oh, okay. So I have seen him in everything I've watched.
Yeah, no, I mean,
He's
I
like
think,
the every henchman movie guy, you know.
yeah, he's.
I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone there. Yeah, he's been in so many things.
And
I'm just looking
he's just
through.
not getting the recognition I think he deserves,
Yeah,
especially in this film.
I
He does a
realize he's
great
been in.
job.
He has been in another movie that we have covered, Brian. He was in The Lawnmower Man.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that
Oh my
movie.
god. He was.
You loved The Lawnmower Man?
Lawnmower Man's in your head now, bitch. Yeah.
The Lawnmower
The
Man was something.
sequels were terrible, but
I mean,
I mean,
The
and it was
original
nothing
movie
like
is terrible.
it was
the
nothing
original
like the
movie's
two
pretty bad.
paragraph story it was based off of, but you know,
Like
put
literally
Jeff
the only
Bezos on the map.
it did that, but it was not a good movie.
It was not. It was a horrible movie. It was exact proof of
It is a movie
why
that I could
Stephen King's
probably
story
hate
shouldn't be
watch.
Yeah.
adapted at all. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
was.
it
It
was
is
one
I
of those.
better
still had
than
fun with
Madam
it.
Web. I will give it that.
It is better
Yeah.
than Madam Web. That is true.
Yeah. I had a
But
lot of fun with it when it came out, and the
yeah,
special effects when it came out. We had just seen Virtuosity, so Sid 6.7 was basically the same special effects.
yeah,
So,
it,
what we were expecting,
yeah, it is a terrible movie.
it
And
was
this is
better
where
than
we get
Tron.
into just the rambling part of our podcast for like the
Yeah.
last 5 minutes before we're like, you know what? We finished our ratings. Let's just like, wrap it up,
Yeah.
throw out the email and then call it a day. Roll
Yeah.
credits.
Awesome. It only took 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
That's pretty
that,
short for us.
that's about normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
we usually finish recording somewhere around 2 hours and 20 minutes, and then once we cut out all the ums and just long pauses,
Yeah.
it shortens it down to about 2 hours.
Right. This is video, so there is no cutting out, or
Oh
else we'll
no,
look like
you
Max
definitely
Headroom. Like
you could
here.
definitely do this. I watch
Yeah.
so many YouTube videos where they're like while they're talking, and it's just like where you can tell they like cut out all the ums and everything, and they're just like,
I
yeah, they're
know that you're
definitely
just
don't-
gonna
like
edit
twitching like
this, so
Max
it's
Headroom
just
in
me
there.
going, I love fat butts.
And done. That is the
And
trailer.
now you don't have to edit it because I just said it for you.
Right.
And
gonna
that's
be
the trailer. Yeah,
Right.
that is the trailer for us.
I mean, it's the kind of shit that I would say in my intros anyway. So
Yeah, I don't know if you listen to our podcast, but it is
I've heard a couple of episodes,
it
and yeah, I know.
it is
But it's no different than what we do here on the PanelCast. The
yeah.
same way, same thing,
Yeah,
same joke.
it is that type of podcast. It is the podcast of like people just having a conversation about something, and that's
Yeah.
we just it's just a slightly guided conversation, and I
Mhm.
mean slightly guided. Like we don't
barely.
barely guided conversation.
The most
We
structure that we have is our ratings.
yeah. I do have I actually am the one that tries to keep us on track, and when we're up, I do have our podcast note. I have a podcast structure page that has intro, discussion summary, general timeline, like some. Then it gets into our rating system, but that's what the notes are. So it's not like I'm like it's not super structured.
Yeah.
It's literally intro, talk about the movie, rate the movie, ramble for a few minutes.
I
Roll
do pretty
credits.
much exactly what I did with you guys. I'm like, we're gonna do this, and go.
Yeah. This is,
You know?
I mean, this is more or less what we do on our podcast too. I mean,
Mhm.
there's not really a difference. If other than having to stare at our faces, it's
Yeah, it's basically.
yeah, you're just getting to hear our voices instead, or getting
Mhm.
to put the face to a voice.
Which
And
I'm
Brian
sorry
looks
for all
like
of your fans.
yeah, that they had to
Brian.
look at this
Brian
face
looks
for
like you just squeezed some Go-Gurt and put headphones on it.
The problem is, like, I'm sitting in like a darkened space with just like the bright white light from my computer screen hitting me, and
yeah.
I've got this shitty webcam that doesn't
Yeah,
help.
you
So
need a ring light, or you need like a lot of light, like I have in my room.
I'm not a goddamn influencer.
You don't need to be an influencer to have a ring light. I don't have a ring light. What I have is
Here we go.
like this kind of a lamp, like this. So, damn it!
At this point, all of our watchers are blind.
You're welcome.
I have a ring light on a swing
Oh
arm.
god damn it! I broke my lamp.
Also, on the ceiling in my office is a boom mic arm from when I have the live broadcast.
Yeah,
Just
that's
swing it
actually
down and everybody goes like,
that's actually the lamp that usually is like lighting up my 3D printer so I can watch my prints. Although that's not printing right now because I didn't want there to be too much noise while we recorded.
I'm actually surprised Pumpkin didn't come bother me while we were recording.
Yeah, you had Shadow, but I didn't see Pumpkin anywhere.
well,
anyways,
wrap
so we have been the Movie Raccoons. Karl.
and you're Karl. He's Brian.
I'm Karl. That's Bryan.
No.
Both are.
What do you mean team? No, why are you just pointing over there? I'm over
'Cause-
here.
No, you're over there.
I'm over here.
No, you're over there.
I'm over right here.
Okay, on my
What do you-
wait, you're right here?
No, and AJ is right here.
Wait, right here?
AJ is right here. You're right here.
You're both up there.
That's been AJ.
Karl.
Yeah.
Brian.
I've been Bryan.
Wait.
Karl,
I am Karl.
Brian,
This is me.
No.
Karl,
No.
Yes.
No.
Brian.
That's no. You're pointing wrong.
No, I'm pointing at my name.
No.
You're
That's
pointing
my
at your
name right
That's
there.
not your name. Your
That's-
name is right
Your
there.
name is on the other side of you.
Your name is like right here.
Oh wait, is my name
Yeah, that's
Right
your name.
there.
Yeah.
okay?
There you
Okay, so it's
go.
backwards. On my screen, the name is to my left, but it's actually on the right.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. No, see now AJ is pointing the wrong direction.
I don't know. Well,
saying it's
my
over
name's
here?
somewhere around here, and that's the
all here?
podcast. Also below my name, and yeah,
Yeah, go to our website.
yeah, movieraccoons.com. You can send hate mail to us at trashcan@movieraccoons.com as well.
Yep.
And we promise that we will respond to you with an AI as soon as we feel like it. But yeah, check us out. We're on basically every podcasting thing, or you can grab the RSS feed from the website.
Yeah.
Whatever
That's
you
How
feel
often
like.
do
basically
you guys
it.
put out shows?
We are shooting for an every 2 week, so
Yeah.
bi-weekly. Is that the correct phrase? Yeah, we release Sundays every other Sunday,
Mhm.
and then we do occasionally take like a couple months off to catch up on our backlog, or to build a
So what you're saying is that there's
backlog of
no-
episodes, and then
There's
get them.
no steady time of you guys. There's no set schedule.
Every other Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've stuck to that pretty closely for the past 2 years.
Been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
We have
About 50 episodes.
We're at
Just
41 episodes.
41?
41 coming soon.
Yeah. And a couple of filler episodes
Yeah.
that have made their way into the feed when things come up and we have technical difficulties and can't get an episode out. We just recorded a couple of slower feed or sort of different sort of things. We rated movie snacks, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah, we do we banked a few quick 15-minute episodes to get stuff out.
Yeah.
Or
just
to
for
have just to have some content in case something goes wrong, basically.
Yeah.
You know, all of the very interesting behind the scenes stuff that everybody loves hearing about.
Yeah. And
mean
this
nobody?
is what are we looking at? Oh yeah. Hey, look, that's us.
Mhm.
Movie Raccoons.
I think it's pretty obvious which one of
Which
those
one is
raccoons-
which?
Yeah, which one
Yeah.
is which.
The feminine one without the glasses.
That's me. And I'm the one that has obviously the mustache and the glasses, because clearly.
And I do want to say that I
Neither of
do
them have a
actually have a
mustache,
Tommy
Carl.
Wiseau shirt.
This guy has the one with the glasses has a mustache. It's just
Way over here. Way over here.
there's a mustache. That is a mustache.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one doesn't have a mustache. What are you talking about?
That's a weak ass Brian excuse for a mustache.
Look, I didn't draw it.
I can't
thought
grow
it
a
looked good enough.
mustache.
Also, the picture that I sent to the artist, like the reference picture of myself that I sent to him, was the stupidest fucking picture.
Oh,
So,
we both sent
Yeah,
in
the fact that he actually produced something good.
we both made stupid faces and sent those, but here's our reference pictures.
Yeah, so
Nice.
And I think it comes across in the picture very well.
yeah, I think it does. But I almost thought about wearing the hat just in case our logo popped up, and it did pop up. So, but I instead chose to just do no hat.
No hat. That's fine too.
So what the
All
fuck are
right,
we
so I
doing?
guess
We
that
done with
about
this?
wraps us up here. Um, can anybody hear Carl?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. There's Carl.
Okay. So did I
All right, we're gonna
unmute
go ahead and
myself to sneeze and then mute myself?
I
Or
didn't
did
hear
I?
a
Probably.
sneeze, so it's
Okay.
fine.
If you didn't hear the sneeze, then I got it at least muted for that. So.
No, but it was in 3D because boogers came flying at the screen really fast.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Even though I turned my head and sneezed over by the window.
It bounced, man. You know, it's made of rubber. All right, so guys, I want to thank both of you for being on the show. Thanks for catching up and rehashing some old memories,
Yeah.
as well as
Thanks for having us.
giving us time to review one of my favorite movies of all time.
And no
Frighteners.
problem. Thanks for having us on. I really appreciate you having us on here to kind of let us ramble and make your episode much longer than it normally runs.
Than anybody. We are literally in the Peter Jackson version of the PanelCast at 2 hours
So
and 30
if
minutes.
you
right now.
liked this horrible garbage that you just watched, tune into
No,
the
not
Movie
horrible
Raccoons.
garbage. This fine,
Yeah.
exquisite garbage that you just watched.
Yes. Then we've got a whole podcast that's just this.
I don't know if you want to brag about that, Brian.
This is what we're going for. This is what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I don't think
we
you
are
want to
hitting.
brag about this being exactly what it is about. Like,
this is exactly what
Yeah.
it's about.
No, this is
Like-
what you're getting. I don't look.
Look, this
Caveat emptor, okay?
This picture right here shows exactly what you're getting in the podcast. There's a raccoon wearing a Tommy Wiseau shirt.
Yeah, this is what we do. It's basically just Paddington murdering children. Like that's the whole podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
all right, everyone. Thanks for checking into the PanelCast. Go check them out. Movie Raccoons at movieraccoons.com. They're on Spotify and all the other places. And you'll catch me next week on their show. Audio only, because apparently I'm too ugly for their fans. I'm too ugly for my own fans, but that's okay.
I just want to correct there. He will be recording with us next week. It will be a little while before that episode actually comes out.
Yeah, we're
Right,
kind of
so-
lazy when it comes to editing, so
2030, it'll be playing at my funeral.
No, it'll come out. I think that episode will come out probably the end of January or the beginning of February.
Either
Yeah.
way, you can check in here because I'll be announcing when it'll come out during the show. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys again for being part of it, and check them out on their website. Until next time, everybody, we'll catch you later.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.